live.
Okay, with that, 7 p.m., I'll call to order the June 10th, 2020 Planning Board meeting. We are a 7-member board. We have 5 members present. So we've established a quorum. We do have a public hearing at 7:05, so we have to wait about 4 minutes. In the interest of, I have to read this disclosure to start the meeting. This meeting is being conducted remotely pursuant to Executive Order 202.1 and related federal, state, and local guidance relating to COVID-19 virus. Members, staff, and applicants are participating in a virtual meeting via Zoom. This virtual meeting is being broadcast live on the town's YouTube channel. It's being recorded and will be transcribed in accordance with Executive Order 202.1. For those participating tonight, please note there may be a 30-second delay between this meeting and the YouTube broadcast. Board members, staff, and other participants are requested to mute themselves when not speaking to reduce interference. Applicants will be placed on mute until their item is up for consideration. Applicants are free to remain in the meeting on mute after their item is complete, or they may leave. Dahlia Starowitz of the Planning and Zoning Department is the Zoom meeting host and will admit participants, unmute participants, monitor the chat box, and while working with me, generally manage the meeting. Text placed in the chat box will be read aloud or otherwise addressed by Dahlia and myself during the course of the meeting. During the course of the meeting, in order to keep the broadcast and discussion clear, I will call on members to offer comment during discussion of agenda items. Members may also request to speak via the chat box. Members can unmute themselves to offer comment if urgent or as needed, but encouraged to wait until they're called upon. So we still have about 3 minutes. Let's take care of meeting minutes from May 27th. I think everyone can vote.
That's correct.
Allison?
Correct.
So anyone have comment or question? Okay. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the May 27th, 2020 meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Viola.
Roll call as follows. Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton,
I think Don must be on mute.
yeah. Don, you want to nod your head?
You're on mute.
Can you
There you
can you
go.
hear me
Get
now?
it?
Yep.
You're good now.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Motion carried by a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Joe, can I read the disclaimer for the public hearing, or should I wait until 7:05?
That would wait until 7:05.
Okay. So we're gonna wait here for about 2 more minutes, and then we'll get into the public hearing. Steve, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yep. Just want to make sure before we get started that we had contact. So.
Only my video, or is that me?
I just ask you to start your video.
Okay. There I am.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Donna. How are you?
Good.
Hey, I don't think I have the legal notice for the public hearing. Joe, can someone else read that? Can Adam read that on my behalf if I call to order the meeting?
Yeah, that's fine.
Adam, do you have it up? Adam?
He's muted.
Yeah, let me, I'm looking for it now, Matt. Stand by.
That's fine. But it's now 7:05 p.m., so I'm going to call to order the public hearing for Pheasant Hollow, Phillips Road, Major 10-lot cluster subdivision. And if, bear with us here for a few minutes and we'll get the legal notice read.
I got it up here. Let me.
Hey, Allison, you want to share your
Yep,
screen with
yep.
that?
Yep.
Cool.
There you go.
Can someone still read it? I'm on a phone.
Oh. Notice
I got
of
it.
public.
All right.
You got it.
Please take notice that the planning board of the town of East Greenbush will hold a public hearing on June 10th, 2020, beginning at 7:05 p.m. to consider the following matters. The town of East Greenbush Planning Board shall conduct a public hearing pursuant to section 276 of the town law and the town's land subdivision regulations on the application of Heartland Associates, Inc. for a major 10-lot subdivision called Pheasant Hollow 10-lot cluster subdivision. The property to be developed consists of approximately 10 plus or minus acres and is the location of the proposed 9 lots. The 10th lot is the remaining lands, which consist of approximately 96 plus or minus acres. This property is located off of Phillips Road in the RB Residential Buffer District. Tax map number 177.5-22. Said public hearing will be held on Wednesday, June 10th, 2020 at 7:05 p.m. at the East Greenbush Town Hall, 225 Columbia Turnpike, East Greenbush, New York, by order of the Planning Board Chairman, Matt Aston. Pursuant to Executive Order 202.1, issued by Governor Cuomo on March 12, 2020, and advisories, issued by federal, state, and local officials related to COVID-19 virus. The hearing will convene remotely as follows. The public hearing will commence at 7:05 p.m. and shall be conducted through the use of Zoom, a web-based video conference tool with local desktop client and smartphone applications that will allow board members and the public to participate electronically and remotely by audio, with or without a video connection. The meeting would also be live streamed on the town's YouTube channel. Do I have to? I'm not going to read this. So I'm also going to read this. The public hearing notice used should generally follow the format of the town's template. Public hearing notice. Am I reading this, Joe? Is that correct? There's a public hearing disclosure, correct?
Yeah.
All right. The public hearing notice used should generally follow the format of the town's template public hearings notice. It should inform those calling in, voice only participants that they may experience a brief silent wait or hold prior to being admitted to the hearing. The meeting should generally be configured according to the most recent version of the town's virtual meetings policy. The meeting host will admit all participants from the waiting room at the time stated by the public hearing notice. Participants will be muted upon entry, and only the host can unmute participants. The host should unmute the town officials upon entry. However, instruct participants that a list of those wishing to offer public comment. Speakers will be generated to organize public comment. Participants will be placed on mute until their turn to speak. Speaking will normally be limited to between 3 to 5 minutes, or as otherwise determined by the ranking member. Participants should be instructed that once each speaker has finished their remarks, they will be placed on mute again. Their video may remain active or it may be disabled. Participants can also offer comment by typing their comments into the chat box. The chat box will be visible to the meeting host and will be read into the record. Disruptive participants will be removed permanently from the meeting at the discretion of the ranking member. Once the virtual meeting ground rules have been set forth, the ranking member should read aloud the public hearing notice. This notice should explicitly state that the virtual public hearing is being conducted pursuant to requirements set forth in New York State law and Executive Order 202.1. If it does not, the ranking member should restate it for the record. The ranking member and board will decide whether to keep the public hearing open after it's adjourned. If it is decided, the public should be informed that they can submit written comments in the interim. Okay. Steve, what do you got?
Steve, you gotta
1
unmute.
second. Steve, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes, you can hear me now?
Yes.
So I think Dahlia was going to share the one map. Is that correct?
Yes. Give me 1 second. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you, Dahlia.
You're welcome.
So in essence, the map you have in front of you is the same map we've been working on for the last 7 or 8 months. We had first introduced the project back about a year ago, back June of last year. And we've had some slight revisions, but for the most part, the lot configuration and the layout that you see on here is similar to what we've had all along. This is the Pheasant Hollow Golf Course parcel of land. It's 106 acres in size. The area that you see in the more vibrant green shade where all the lots are is slightly over 10 acres in size. The 10 acres is a requirement of the residential cluster provision. So in essence, basically the intent is to utilize existing road frontage on Hayes Road and on Phillips Road. We've broken that land up into 9 acres, 9 lots, and the 10th lot is the remaining golf course parcel. The lots are all about a ½ acre in size up to about an acre. Lot number 1 is an acre in size, and lot number 5, actually the lot that I'm building on, that's about 4 acres in total, but 2 acres of that is green space or open space area per the cluster provision. That would be the area, if you see the dashed line running about the midpoint through lot number 5, and all that shaded area and the irrigation pond on the right-hand side. So the overall acreage of lot number 5, again, is about 4 acres in size, but 2 acres is open space for all the lot owners, the other 8 lot owners within the subdivision. This parcel of land has existing water line, plenty of volume and pressure. We did hydrant flow tests on that. So the water line runs all along Phillips Road and on Hayes Road. Again, we're not proposing any new roads, no like typical storm drainage. And with regards to sewers, we have a low pressure sewer system that we will be installing, and we will be taking that from the beginning of our subdivision down here near the irrigation pond, taking it up Phillips Road, which is, let's see, that would be northerly in direction, and then taking it up Hayes Road about another 1,100 feet to the intersection of Criss Crossing. There's a gravity-fed manhole there. It's about 30 feet higher in elevation than our site, and that's why we need to pump up to it. And we'll be discharging at that manhole at the intersection of Criss Crossing. And that's a 4-way intersection. Gilligan Road is right there as well. So aside from that, we're doing our best to minimize the amount of grading and clearing work that is being done here. I mean, for the most part, this is an open golf course, so it's a lot of fairway and grass area. Through some changes working with Adirondack Engineering. Late on in the approval process, we did add a 30-foot wide no disturbance easement here for clearing. So what that'll do is provide some buffer areas for lots 6, 7, 8, and for lot number 5. So that tree, a 30-foot wide minimum area of vegetation will remain. And we did add all the landscape planters. I know some people did ask about, were concerned about clear cutting and not having any landscaping. We touched on that last time. So basically what we've asked, if people are going to come in and clear their land, that they're going to have a minimum of 2 deciduous trees up front here in these islands and 4 shrubberies. And so that would be typical for all the lots. And this lot here on the corner, because it was at the intersection and had a little bit more road frontage, we're proposing a minimum of 3 deciduous trees and 6 shrubberies there. And again, I mentioned that last time, that will be above and beyond what people will want to do for other landscaping. So that's, we're certainly not assuming that's what people are gonna, the only amount of landscaping they'll add, but typically people are gonna want to landscape around the front of their house so they have a nice streetscape, and a lot of times where your mailbox is or a light pole up in front, you'll landscape there as well. So we think all in all, it fits well with the neighborhood. The lots, again, typically 80-foot frontages. Our cluster does allow for 50-foot frontages, and the real main reason for that, the only lot that has 50 feet is this lot number 1, and that's really because it's more shaped like what a flag lot would be, but it is 1 acre in size. So, so aside from that, certainly this project has evolved pretty extensively over the last 7 to 8 months. It's been about a year again since we first had approached the board with respect to the project. We are as well working with the town board regarding a sewer district extension. They were hoping to have a public hearing this month, but there were some delays due to the pandemic. So it sounds like some of those hearings will end up being held next month. So certainly if any board members have comments, any members of the public, will do our best to address any questions or concerns.
Thanks, Steve. So I'm gonna, like we did last time, I'm gonna just go through the board members and ask for any comment, and then we'll open that up to the public. So Ralph, do you have anything?
No, I'm fine with the site proposed as is.
Okay. Nancy? Nancy, you might be on mute.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, there you go. You're good.
No, I'm fine with everything too, Steve. Steve's gone through this so many times.
All right. Thank you. Chris?
I'm good too. I think Steve's done a nice job addressing all the other concerns we've talked about in other meetings.
Okay. Don?
I'm good with it. Can you hear
All
me?
right. So, yep, we got you. So now we're going to open up to the public. So Adam, I don't know how we do that, but or is Dahlia managing that?
Yeah, so,
We done with the screen sharing?
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll open it up to public comment at this point.
Okay. So I think I've unmuted most from the public. If anyone wants to make a comment, I think you have to unmute yourself. I'm trying to unmute you.
Aaron and Gary would like to have the letter that we sent read by the planning board.
Yes, the letter was received by the chairman. Matt, do you want me to read it or do you want to read it?
We would like it read.
I'm sorry, Matt, I can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't have access to my town email right now, so if you could, that would be very helpful.
Hello?
Yep, just give us 1 second. We're going to have a letter read into the record.
so Dahlia, I'll put that up on the screen.
Thank you. I think I have it. Yep. So this is a letter dated June 10th, 2020 to the Town of East Greenbush Planning Board from Karen and Gary Wolf regarding the Pheasant Hollow 10-lot subdivision. The letter reads as follows. We are writing to raise questions about the project and express our concerns of the size and scope of the project, the density of the houses, and the stormwater pollution protection plan. The proposed number of houses will triple a rural neighborhood. It is not in keeping with the nature of Phillips Road and the surrounding area. These many additional houses will dramatically alter the nature of our neighborhood. The green space being conveyed to the town is just the side of the road. It does not provide for open space. It is a roadway. It is not a stall. It can be used for recreation. We're asking the planning board to call on the petitioner to submit a conventional plan or reduce the cluster plan proposed due to the dramatic alterations this project will have on the residents and surrounding area. The existing neighborhood is not cluster housing. The site is more suited to maybe 5 houses, which is what is across the street. Will the proposed houses have basements? What is the range of square footage allowed for the lots? Will the proposed require any variances? Last fall, the town Department of Works, the Department of Public Works installed a roadway ditch to capture the runoff from the Pheasant Hollow property to the culvert, which runs under the road to a property. This has been causing erosion problems downstream on our property and needs to be considered. The proposal does not address this. We will welcome you to walk the property to see for yourself. The ditch has only added to the basement flooding on our property. Water that used to be absorbed or contained within the golf course is now flowing freely. The ditch has become quite deep due to the amount of runoff from the golf course. These 10 additional lots will further add to the problem, adding more sources of runoff due to the driveways, gutters, and roofs. The cluster plan allows for the petitioner not to be responsible for the post-construction controls due to the cluster. We're asking the planning board to require the petitioner to be responsible for post-construction controls. It appears as though the plans call for a higher berm on the west side of the pond, which will rise the water table further and add to our flooding problem. In regards to traffic safety, the intersection is misaligned and causes unsafe driver behavior when cars approaching northbound on Phillips and west on Hayes. In order to get a safe sight distance for approaching cars on Hayes, the driver has to be well into the intersection. This then caused the cars headed westbound on Hayes to have to yield to the car at the stop sign. In addition, the Cook property driveway is also in the intersection. The proposed subdivision will add 2 additional driveways adjacent to the misaligned intersection, which is going to cause more uncertainty. We feel the proposal does not properly address the traffic patterns and driver behavior for safety. In regards to pedestrian traffic, the speed limit on Phillips Road is 45 miles per hour in the town of Schodack and reduces to 30 miles per hour at the East Greenbush town line. Cars are frequently going by doing over 50 miles per hour in the 30 mile per hour zone. With all of the golf traffic, cars and golfers crossing the road, there should be a crosswalk and the speed limit should be lower coming in from Schodack. Phillips Road is popular for exercise, dog walking, biking, and golfing. Pedestrian safety should be considered. That is all from Gary, from Karen and Gary Wolf.
Thank you, Dahlia.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know, it's not meant to be a back and forth as far as a public hearing, but does anyone on the board have a response or anything you want to say towards that letter? It's an allowed use. Or Steve, do you have any response?
You know
I don't
what?
expect to go point by point.
If at all possible, I'd love to get all the comments. If there's other people that want to make comment, I'd rather get all of them and then jot down and comment as best as I can with responses.
Yep, that works. So do we have any other members of the public?
How about East Greenbush resident? I'm trying to unmute the person, but they have to unmute themselves.
Oh, we're good. Nothing here. Thank you.
Okay.
There was also a letter just sent recently by Adam Wolf. We got it via email if somebody wanted to read that into the record as well.
Yeah. So this is a letter from Adam Wolf. Dear Planning Board, I live with the resident of 2789 Phillips Road and would like to express to you my concerns about the new proposals across my family's house. For 20 years of my life, I felt as though my family and I have lived off the beaten path in a very small rural neighborhood. Throughout my childhood, the curse of living in an area like this was always taken advantage of by the family extended. Ever since the renovations that changed the golf course drastically, it truly has not felt the same. In these past few months, there's been countless times I've brought my younger cousins out into the yard to give them the same sort of experience I did as a child. But because of the new traffic Phillips Road has experienced in many ways, things have changed. I feel as though I have to keep a tight eye on my cousin's dog, and even at times pedestrians walking along the road. My family and I have endured these changes and even supported the Hart family by playing on their course countless times, but this new proposal truly made me sad. Our house is one of the oldest in the extended area, an original farmhouse to the town featuring a historic tree right up front. I'll appreciate you taking the time to consider safety, history, and many other factors when making the decision to approve this new house. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Adam Wolf.
So our thanks to Adam for the letter. Thank you, Dahlia, for reading that. I think we have the Cooks. Do you have anything to say? You're on mute right now.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have a comment?
Yes.
Okay.
She
Oh, you're
just
back.
muted
You're on
herself.
mute. Yeah, you're on mute.
You
now.
muted yourself.
Miss Cook, you're there you go. You're good.
There we go. Okay. I think probably I just am curious to the answers to the questions that have been raised. In particular, if there are any variances required, it would be good to know what they are. And I would say that I can appreciate some concerns regarding the traffic. I don't think it's a new situation, and I don't know that this will impact it dramatically, but it is a busy intersection. That's really the only comments I have at this point.
Yeah, thank you. So to answer the variance question, there would be no variances required.
Okay.
It meets the zoning law.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to just offer a word of caution to you, Steve. When you put your trees on lot number 3, vehicles frequently will go off on the right-hand side of the road there because it's a left-hand curve. They come up a little too fast, and you might just want to make sure that they're in a way where when somebody does go off, they're not going to smack into a tree right in the air. They've rolled over several times.
Thank you for that, Dave.
Is that all?
I think so. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment and participation. Do we have anyone else? Anything in the chat room?
No, nothing in the chat room so far.
Okay, so I guess if anything else from the board, so I'll go through again. Mr. Viola?
My only comment is that I believe it was the Wolf family that talked at first in regards to post-construction concerns. Of course, the developer or the applicant can't do anything that's going to actually affect your property in the long run. So don't feel that that's something that's going to be excused. So feel good about the developer is going to take everything, every means possible to make sure the project is done properly. Your stormwater management is controlled, and if you do feel that there's something that isn't done properly, you do have a right to go back to the town and express your concerns. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that.
Thanks, Ralph. Nancy, do you have anything else?
Steve, would you be able to go to the property and address the concerns they brought up about the drainage? It's drainage coming from the golf course. Do you know what that would be about?
I would say so. I'm assuming it's the big ravine alongside the house, and there's pipes. Like, we didn't put any new pipes in, and we're not putting anything in where that drainage is. So our pond overflows, Nancy, and then it runs through an 18-inch culvert pipe, and it discharges still on our side of Phillips Road, and then it goes through, I don't know, I'm guessing a 24-inch or a 30-inch culvert pipe before it dumps over on the other side of the road. I had spoken with DPW, and I thought they went out there and felt we were taking care of remedying whatever situation would be there. So I didn't think it was an issue, but I'm more than happy to meet the Wolves over there and take a look. Yes.
Yeah, a walk through that speaks volumes.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Chris, do you have anything else?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking the same thing, that a walkthrough to take a look at the, the controls for the runoff would be very helpful. So thanks, Steve, for doing that. Yeah, it did, in terms of the traffic safety, I can't recall if you pointed this out, Steve, but we did note that all of the driveways have turnarounds in them, so any cars pulling out are not actually backing into their, hopefully won't be backing into the road, which I think is helpful in the design.
That's correct.
Thanks, Chris. Don, do you have anything?
No, I'm good.
So Steve, is there anything in those, the handful of letters there that we had that you want to address or that you're prepared to address?
And certainly I'll do my best, and if I missed some, I apologize, but I was taking notes while we were going through it. And in really no particular order, and I think the chairman addressed that there are no variances being applied for as part of this project, so just wanted to clarify that. With regards to the cooks, Dave, I appreciate your comment on the tree placement. So they're all going to be probably 15 to 20 feet off the road. So as far as sight distances and people taking turns there, we'll certainly have those well off the road, especially at the intersection. We don't want them too close where it's going to block someone's eyesight there, so or their sight distance. I'm more than happy to follow up with the town of Schodack and just ask if they'd be willing to lower the speed limit. I know I don't control that. I'm not sure if East Greenbush has impact on it, but hey, I'd love to see every road 30 miles an hour. I'd love to see them 25, but so I will call the supervisor in Schodack tomorrow and just ask him if he would entertain lowering that speed limit. Certainly with the amount of effort that we've put into that golf course to try to make it a bit of a success, there's been more traffic there. So I guess I look at that as a good thing, not for behalf of the town. We get a lot of positive feedback and comments on that, so I'm hoping that's something the town appreciates. As far as basements, yes, the intent is that these houses will have basements, and probably about 2,000 square feet would be about the average house size. Do I see some getting larger? I mean, if someone wants to come and spend $500,000 or $600,000 and build a large home, certainly we're not going to deter that. But I'd probably say a minimum of 2,000 square feet.
Yeah, but Steve, it's going to be restricted by setbacks too, right?
Oh, that is, yeah, by the setbacks. So you got a certain lot width, and if you have 10-foot side yard setbacks, and the house is so much. You know, our intention is most of these are set up for, you know, people trying to scale down. My wife and I are moving down there for the reason of trying to scale down, and my 86-year-old parents are moving down there for the other scaling down. So I am guessing, you know, 2,000 is a good number. So that's roughly what we're looking at. With respect to like a conventional plan and a layout, and this was heavily exercised and reviewed by Adirondack Engineering, we did lay out a conventional plan based on water and sewer, and we could get 12 building lots, and we shared that with the planning board. We only wanted 9 because I did not want to make this any more dense than what it was. So especially because I'm living there and some other family members, and we all wanted a little bit more space. We just did a cluster down the road at 70-foot wide frontages. I didn't necessarily want that here. We did one further down on Alcott Lane that had 60-foot frontages on it. So again, you know, we're talking 80 and 90-foot average on road frontages there. So we did not, even though we could have fit 12 lots there, we only wanted 9. County Highway, we have met with them on site and also been exchanging plans and emails with them. It appears that they're okay with the location of how we're showing the driveways on there. Sometimes having driveways helps to slow cars down as well. When you have a long stretch of road without any driveways on it, it does allow people to speed a little bit faster. So the county did not seem to have issues with the driveways that we had on Hayes Road. We talked about the density again. It's 9 lots situated on 10 acres of land. So in reality, it is over 1 acre of land, or 1 acre per parcel that we have out there. And I think something to keep in mind, I think several years ago, the town ran public water out there, and we're bringing public sewer. So certainly if homes were built 30 years ago and they're on well and septic, you're probably talking a minimum acre and a half lots. But that still was sort of forced because you needed to have that size to make a well and septic work. So I do know there's some lots larger than what we have, and I know there's some lots that are smaller than what we're proposing there. So I do think it fits pretty well with the neighborhood. And then as far as the drainage, and I'm more than happy to meet the Wolves, and maybe Adam, if you could share, or Dal, you just share my email with the Wolves, and we can set up a time to meet. I'll make sure I make myself available. We were asked to raise the elevation of the pond just so right now when we get heavy rains, the cart path overflows before the pipe fills up. So basically we're going to be raising that berm enough such that the cart path won't overflow, which throws more water into that culvert pipe that crosses underneath Phillips Road. So by raising that berm, we are going to impede a little bit more water. We're going to store it more in the pond and have it discharge through the pipe rather than as it is now, it discharges through the pipe, but it also overflows the bank. So again, we did a very extensive stormwater study that was reviewed by Adirondack Engineering. So we've exercised a lot of caution out there. We've got the lower pond or the smaller pond up top. That's also an irrigation pond. We didn't even take that into consideration in our reports, but that's also going to slow water down from lots 1 through 5. It'll impound water there as well. So certainly we don't want to do anything that would hurt.
Well, we've never had a wet basement until you raise the level. So I'm just saying we've been here 26 years. And now we're draining our basement out into the road. So all right. So we haven't.
Yeah.
done
So and I don't want to turn this into any kind of debate. I know Adam said that you guys had additional comments. So if you guys want to just give a comment and then allow Steve to reply to it, we can continue the conversation later on.
Matt, I would like to direct this to you. Our neighbor Joanna, who also has concerns about this, has not been able to participate in this public forum because she does not have internet, she does not have a smartphone, and she's a little nervous. She would like to, convey her message to the town board and the planning board about this project. We have no problem with them doing what they want to do. I understand he can do what he wants to do with his property, just like I want to do what I want to do with my property. But this does not fit within what we have here. We have 5 houses that's trying to become 15. And you can say the 10th lot is this and the average size, he's gonna have 4 acres, the rest of them are half. It doesn't fit within the nature of the rural neighborhood. And if you go out Phillips Road towards Kodak, that's what we have, a rural neighborhood. And this is a big recreation area. We have the soccer fields down the road. You have, the schools here. We do not need the density or the cluster of these houses in this neighborhood.
Steve, what's the smallest lot?
about 20,000 square foot.
I understand that it's allowed by the code, but the planning board has to have some feelings about the neighborhood also.
But the planning board doesn't live in the neighborhood, so
and none
it's
of
fine
you
for them.
live
It's
here
all
in
great
this
for you guys, but
neighborhood.
we don't live.
Okay, so again, let's not make this a debate. This is not an argument.
It's not a debate,
It's
it's
not
about
a
the
debate.
code, and he's allowed to do what he's done by code, but you're allowed to do your feelings.
Understood. So we appreciate your comment. We
Take
appreciate
into
work.
consideration the neighborhood and the feelings of the people that lived here for 26 years.
Yep, I've lived here for.
Next door 20 years, okay?
I've lived in town for 35 years. I'm very familiar. So, all right, we appreciate your feedback. I'm sorry, my neighbor's using a leaf blower right now. But
And we were muted through half of we weren't even able to speak because we were muted through half of it. And we didn't mute ourselves. It said that the host had muted you. So we were not able to speak because we were muted. So
Yeah, to that,
that's an
we
issue.
asked the public to be muted while the applicant gives his responses. And
I understand that, but we didn't mute ourselves. You muted us.
I understand that, but that was because
And
of the
when we
rules
wanted
of
to
the
speak,
Zoom
you
meeting.
didn't unmute
Okay, wait,
us.
stop. Mrs.
right.
Berry,
So
we can only do this one at a time, and you can't be talking over all these people. That's why they mute people so that we can have one person talking at once.
So that's why
Talk over
we
everybody.
we read the disclosure at the beginning of the meeting, right? This is not an ideal situation for a public hearing. This is not how we typically operate. We're doing the best that we can here. So to allow for everyone to have their voice spoken, we have to mute people and then unmute them as they're ready to speak. So, which we did. We read your letter in the record. We allowed you to speak a second time. If this were a typical public hearing at town hall, you would have one time to speak, and then that would be it. So we're being open and we're listening to what you have to say. And we certainly appreciate your comment. We're not going to vote on the project tonight. So we'll take that, all your comment into consideration. And I would encourage your neighbor to write a letter. You can direct it to me, direct it to the planning department, whatever you'd like. And we'll take that into consideration when we actually vote on the project. Is that acceptable?
I guess
Are they
so.
muted again?
No, I'm not afraid to speak, but okay, yeah, that's fine, absolutely.
Steve, I'd just like to ask you to reconsider all those houses over there, just as a, we can't triple the size of our neighborhood. So that's up to you. You can get away with what you want. You're in front of the planning board every month. We're at a big disadvantage here. We don't know the laws. I talked to Adam today, and he pointed out a few things to me to raise, and whatever.
You're going to be up there on your 4 acres of land by yourself, way up in the back. And
4 acres is big.
Okay, you guys are going to be muted now, okay?
Okay.
So thanks for your comment.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments? All right, with that, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Hey, Matt.
Yep.
Matt, I'm sorry, this is Steve. So yes, like I said, I'm more than happy to meet with the Wolves and maybe if Dan Fiacco, because I think Dan had looked at the drainage maybe with Scott Gallery as well. More than happy to do that, so feel free to pass along my email. But also just, and I know that you had mentioned that you're having flooding problems and stuff out there because of the work we've done. We haven't done anything yet, so the flooding problems, I guess, are there now. Based on what the town has asked us to do and we obliged to do it, we should be helping to rectify that, but we haven't done anything out there. So if you are having problems, certainly that's an existing condition out there. So hopefully we'll be able to remedy that a little bit for you.
Yeah, Steve, sorry, man. In terms of communication between you and residents, I don't know, Adam, you can help me weigh on this. I think it's preferable if it's done through the town department. So if Mr. and Mrs. Wolf, they would like to have a meeting with you, they're more than welcome to write to us, and we can set up a meeting with you, with them, and with whatever other department has to be involved.
I would also note too, aside from Steve being a licensed engineer, that the town has a licensed engineer reviewing this for stormwater, for sewer, for all utilities that have their license on the line. So and by no means does Steve coming by the board mean that, every meeting or frequently mean that he gets any kind of preference over anyone else. So I just want to make that point. All right, so with that, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Ms. Kupiak.
Roll call as follows: Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Thorne. I think you're on mute, Chris. There you go.
There we go. Yes.
Mr. Pan.
Yes.
Motion carried by 5-0 vote.
Okay. So next we have the same project, 1918 Pheasant Hollow, 2670 Phillips Road, review for a seeker determination. So Adam, what's the intent here?
So the intent is to button up the environmental aspect of this review. The planning board is the lead agency under seeker for this project, and what we prepared for the board to walk through is the part 2 and part 3 of the seeker forms, including a proposed narrative for a negative declaration under seeker. Essentially, it means that all of the required environmental considerations related to, public utilities, transportation, rare and threatened species, water quality, et cetera, have been reviewed, and the board is prepared to make some findings to allow that part of the process to be closed.
So do you want to run through that?
Yeah, let me pull up the part 2 form here, and then I've got the adoption, the resolution to adopt the neg deck, which we can also go through. Let's see, part 2, part 3. So let me share my screen here. I can, the remote desktop. So the part 1 of this form is filled out by the applicant, and there are, I want to say, it's a short form because this isn't a type 1 or close action. Those carry a presumption of having a greater potential for significant adverse environmental impacts. So I think the short form has about, 14 questions or so. And the part 2 form asks the board to consider whether impacts would occur in these 11 different categories of potential environmental impacts, and to classify the potential impact as to whether it's small or non-existent or moderate or large. And the board you guys should have received this along with the narrative as well, which is the part 3 supporting narrative, I think on Sunday night earlier. But in essence, what this has been reviewed by the town's planning and engineering consultants. It's been reviewed by my department, and also Joe, the planning board attorney, has taken a look at this. So in essence, and Matt, I don't know if you want to step through each of these potential impacts, or if you want to head over to the supporting narrative, which is,
let's go. Let's go to the narrative.
Okay. Bear with me here.
So you can give the highlights. I don't know that you have to go word for word.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've discussed some of the major issues here. One of them is rural character, and I think that's one of the areas where we've made some key findings. This is about the bats here. So one of the things about let's see, the community character. Yeah, so I think it's this number 8. So one of the things that our consultant and Steve have worked together to develop is a landscaping plan. One of the early on things that Nan Stolzenberg identified is the potential for changing the rural character of that portion of Phillips Road. I mean, if you go south beyond the golf course, it's very rural, and there, and that vegetation is sort of typified by it's a lot of it is kind of shrubby forbs, and maybe not a lot of mature trees, but kind of some scrubby, low growing vegetation. Maybe it's some fields that have access, onto the road. You're not always seeing, very finely manicured lawns and that kind of thing. So one of the things that we're going to do as part of, and what we've included in these findings, is require, as Steve was mentioning, these naturalistic clusters of native vegetation, things like red maples, river birches, and other types of shrubs. There's a planting plan proposed as part of this project. There are, as part of the approval conditions, the board has the option to require the plantings be shown on any plot plans, and subject those to various levels of review and inspection. So the idea is the design and the composition of the species planted, will serve to mitigate those potential impacts. Another impact is the potential for extension of water and sewer. Now, we often talk about smart growth. The extension of public utilities is a growth-inducing phenomenon, and this is no exception. However, in this case, there's already public water in the roadway, and the potential impact of adding about 9 properties, that's I forget, Steve. I think it's about 20,000 gallons per day. Is not significant on the town's system, which is capable of handling this amount of flow. And moreover,
Adam, not to interrupt, but I just got a question. Is this available on the town website?
We can make it available. It is not.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Nan, was that Nan?
Nan comments, Adam?
That was me.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can certainly post this.
Adam?
Yes.
Are these Nan's comments?
This is the Seeker Part 3 narrative, Dahlia.
Didn't I put that on the Google Drive? Numbers to see.
I mean, I
want to know if it's open to the public. I had someone from the public ask if it was available.
Oh, yeah. No.
So another one of the highlights is the potential impact on water quality. There's a Class C regulated stream that this pond is part of, and I believe drains to. That ultimately flows to Papscani Creek, which drains to the Hudson River estuary. One of the things, and there is a no disturb buffer that's going to remain. I discussed this a little bit with Gary earlier today. There's about 2 acres of permanent open space as well. There was a wetland delineation conducted. One of the conditions of approval is likely going to be that the Army Corps weigh in and that no impacts to wetlands. We addressed the northern long-eared bat. We searched the IPAC database, and there are no habitats sensitive for that threatened species in this project. So those, the zoning, like we've talked a little bit, the zoning.
Yeah, it's just for the sake of the public. The long-eared bat that's a typical review. That's not unique to that area. It has to be reviewed for every single project, right?
Yeah, it's generally found to occur in Rensselaer County, among other counties around the state, like where I live in Bern. It's up here. So there are different parts of its life cycle. It roosts in certain types of trees, and then it nests in certain types of trees. And so the most common mitigation measure, which of course is not required here, is tree cutting restrictions. So you can't cut trees between November 1st and March 31st, for example. But that won't apply here. And I guess relative to the zoning, we talked a little bit about the cluster subdivisions requirements. As the findings state, this is residential subdivision. It's consistent with the character of the area. It's kind of on the border between a more densely populated, settled part of the town and this kind of rural transition. This is a residential buffer zone, according to the town zoning. And if there are public utilities, there are incentives for density in accordance with the RB zone. And we worked pretty extensively with Steve, with the applicant and their team to get a plan that is approvable based on the constrained land and the developable land and all of that. So, other than that, I mean, the DPW town DPW has reviewed the curb cuts and the utilities. Rensselaer County Highway has reviewed the curb cuts on Hayes Road, which is a county road. From a traffic standpoint, it's you're talking a few trips in the peak hour additional per house. So it's not it's a small impact is what the findings proposed findings are saying.
So the findings would point to a negative declaration under seeker, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So we have a resolution to vote on seeker. We're not going to vote on the project tonight. I'll go through the list again. Ralph, do you have an issue with that?
Fine.
Nancy? Nancy? I couldn't hear you. Sorry. Okay. Chris?
I'm good.
All right, Don?
I'm okay.
Okay. And again, we're not voting on the project. This is just for the environmental review. Adam, can you put that resolution up on the screen?
Yeah, stand by 1 second. I can scroll through, Matt, if you want to.
Is that the short one? Joe, is that the short one? Yeah. Okay. Whereas the Town of East Scrimmage Planning Board is in receipt of an application by Heartland Associates, Inc., the owner, for a preliminary plat and pre-construction approval under Section 276 of the town law for a residential subdivision entitled Pheasant Hollow Major 10-lot cluster subdivision for 9 single-family detached dwelling units and 1 remaining lot on which a golf course will continue to operate, consisting of 106.78 plus or minus acres in the RB zoning district located off of Phillips Road and Hayes Road, tax map ID 177.00-5-22. And whereas the town planning board did conduct a public hearing on June 10th, 2020 on said subdivision, at which time members of the public were invited to speak either in favor of or in opposition of the subdivision application. And whereas the planning board has submitted the preliminary plat and various supporting data to the town project review team, and whereas the project review team on May 13, 2019 meeting notes show discussion related principally to engineering, site development, and sewer district extension details, and generally confirm the planning board's view that the proposed subdivision of this site would be consistent with town's land use, zoning and service requirements, and through the subdivision review process at the town and county level results in lots that, if granted final approval, were in fact readily buildable. And whereas on June 26, 2019, the planning board initiated a coordinated review under seeker, and having received no response to the contrary, on June 26, 2019, declared itself lead agency, classified the action as unlisted in accordance with 6 NYC RR Part 617, and whereas on December 9th, 2019, the owner submitted an amended application for a major residential cluster subdivision, including, among other things, an increase in the number of proposed lots from 6 to 9. And whereas on February 26, 2020, the planning board initiated a coordinated review in accordance with seeker, and in view of the changes proposed according to the amended application, and whereas the planning board has carefully reviewed the development proposal, conceptual master plan, a short environmental assessment form, part 1, and related reports and studies for this project in accordance with Title 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law and 6 NYR NYCRR Part 617, or potential significant adverse environmental impacts as a result of the action, and whereas mitigation measures as appropriate to this subdivision proposal have either been incorporated into the design of this subdivision and or the conditions of this resolution, and whereas the planning board has compared the proposed action major subdivision against the criteria listed in 617.7 and has considered its potential long-term, short-term, I apologize, I'm having a hard time seeing this, long-term, short-term, direct, indirect, and cumulative impacts as per 617.72, and has assessed the likely consequence of the action in connection with the criteria of 617.73. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the planning board, upon completion of the coordinator review as required by 6 NYCRR Part 617, hereby declares itself lead agency under SECRA and reaffirms the classification of the action as an unlisted action in accordance with 6 NYCRR Part 617, and be it further resolved that based on the environmental assessment and review, the planning board has determined that the project will not have any significant adverse impacts on the environment, and that a negative declaration pursuant to Part 3 of the SEAF is hereby adopted, and be it further resolved that the planning board authorizes the chair to endorse the SECRA determination and the supporting rationale contained therein. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Viola.
Okay, Ralph Viola. Roll call this follows: Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak, Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton, Mr. Panton,
Don, you're on mute.
Yes.
There you go.
motion carried by 5-0 vote.
All right. So next we move on to 1927, the new Verizon store, proposed Verizon store at the Pizza Hut site. So I think we have Luke and we have Guy, right? Luke, you're on mute. Guy, you're on mute. Luke's you're on mute now. There you go.
Good evening.
Let's talk about trees.
Yeah. All right, so just a real quick recap, because I know the trees will take some time. I just want, again, this application started and went before the PRT on June 11th, 2018. So tomorrow is our anniversary of 2 years in this application. And through the town's help, we were able to kind of revamp this application into a remodel from a new build, which was causing us some issues being compliant with the zoning requirements and not getting relief from the zoning board. So again, we brought a new application before the board as a sketch plan in January, and then met again in late February. And in that time, the plan has evolved to address the planning board's comments. We added 5 feet to the height of the building. We added some glass that will be in the interstitial space so that the building appears as a 2-story building to meet the spirit of the zoning code, despite this being a remodel. We also have, had made some changes to use decorative block for the dumpster enclosure. We pulled the parking back from the street to the front of the building, reduced the number of parking spaces to the maximum that the zoning asked for, despite that may be difficult for our need. And of course, we added the landscape buffers between the parking area and the street as the zoning calls for, the landscaping between the building and the street on both the south and west sides. And we also provided a sidewalk that extends to the existing sidewalk for a pedestrian environment. We also provided all the information to the planning board at the request to demonstrate that the signage both on the building and the free-standing sign compliant. And we made some changes, of course, to the marquee, just softening that somewhat, creating an arch on it. I believe I've addressed all the questions that the planning board had, short of the trees that were discussed in it tonight. Was there any other questions on those items?
No, I think traffic calming was something that was brought up by Jim Moore.
Sure,
he couldn't make it tonight. He was satisfied, I think, with whatever response you provided, or he talked to Adam. I'm not sure, but he texted me and said he was satisfied with that.
Okay, thank you. So with respect to the trees, the board had asked in our last meeting a couple of things. I know Nancy had suggested that perhaps we provide some low growth, almost like ground covering underneath of the one tree we're proposing to leave. And we have shown that in the site plan, the information that we provide the board, as well as some uplighting so that we would be able to uplight that tree. And of course, the advantage of that's a year-round element. And you'll notice in the undergrowth or plantings under the tree, there's a good variety of color and plants that are in that proposed planting. And
is that perspective E? Is that the best place to see that?
We'll revolve. I'm sorry, I'm not sure which one that perspective is, but we'll revolve through some of these different views to show that landscape plan. And the other thing the board had asked for was for us to demonstrate, if we could, a visual aid showing all the trees and then removing one tree at a time. So what we wanted to go through first, because this is a non-biased presentation of the trees that are there, is to use Google Earth to show you from Google Earth what it is like to travel north on Columbia, then south on Columbia. We do travel north on Troy, and then coming back south on Troy. So I'd like Angela to show us that video, and then we can go into the presentation that we have created relative to the changes that were requested and that we're proposing. So this is traveling north on Columbia. Of course, the only building here right now is the former Pizza Hut, which is on your right beyond the traffic light.
I think it's going west.
Is that west? Northwest.
Yeah, right? Route 4 is north-south.
Okay, I'm sorry. And this is traveling west on Columbia. And of course, this is has to be sometime in the fall. Half the foliage, or a great deal of the foliage, is off the trees. And you can see how it does obscure the view for some reason the next day, or earlier in the season. And then again, this is turning around and traveling east on Columbia. And now we are traveling, we'll be traveling north on Troy.
Doesn't help our water department truck was sitting in front of the building.
And then traveling, of course, south on Troy. You stop there. And then one of the reason I wanted to stop at this location before we went into our presentation is I appreciate the document that the Planning and Zoning Department provided. I tried to look into my understanding of traffic calming devices as well, the pros, the pluses, and the minuses. And one of the things that I will point out as a minus, and this is even with respect to the tree that we're proposing to save, is that as you're traveling south on Troy and you're going around the corner to go west on Columbia, there's a crosswalk which you can see is somewhat obstructed from view by the vegetation that exists there now. And of course, there's nothing you can see of the building as you're coming south. Yeah.
The shores.
Yep. Mhm.
All right. Then you can do that. So this is this would be a view. Bear with me, I had gotten my orientations wrong. So this is a view looking east, and again shows the one tree, and it shows some planting, some green underneath of it. And you have the site plan document that our engineer had provided as well.
That's nice.
Please let me know if you want to stop at any one of these.
So you're still proposing the one tree, but you've added the undergrowth and
Correct.
uplighting that Nancy had recommended.
Correct. The other thing that we wanted to provide an illustration for the board as well is that relative to the zoning, should the adjacent lots north on Troy Road or west on Columbia be developed, the zoning requires that any new building be 2 stories or no more than 50 feet in height, and it requires that that building is built up to the property line. So what I asked Angela here to do was to create a couple images for the board, so the board could see that if the property, again, to the north on Troy or to the west on Columbia was in fact developed, how that would impact the view. And that's something that, of course, that we have no control over. And it is something that zoning desires, again, to try to create that walkable street front.
It's really nice. I hope they go for it.
Don, can you go on mute?
I have to skip through all of them to get through that.
Go ahead.
Okay. So this is just, these are showing with all the trees. I'm just going to skip through these to get to.
And then we'll come back.
Yeah, we can come back to this. But I just want to show what Guy was referring to.
Got ahead of himself.
Yeah. So this is showing this building back here represents if a building was built up at the property line on the, actually it kind of varies a little bit on that side there, but on the front, and then obviously you can kind of see the one in the back here in this image.
I'd also like to point out, given that fact that I think that, and of course we're taking advantage of this existing building, which allows us to set back from the property line. But I would like to point out that when these other buildings or these properties are developed to the desired zoning code of being 0 on the front, that I would suggest that, we're the only property that can offer the greenscape that we're providing at this point.
That's a fair point. I was wondering why the hell that building is so big.
Yeah, it up to, so those are represented as 50 feet. So what the maximum
yeah, we could. The height isn't so much the issue, of
Yeah.
course, as it is the fact that at being up to the 0 property line. So that is the view. Of course, this is the view traveling south on Troy, because I know that it's been a comment about the ability to have a good view of this building traveling south on Troy. But of course, south on Troy, what we're really looking at is we're looking at a side yard to the property, which A, doesn't allow us to put signage on, and B, should the sub shop really have a fantastic growth, this is what they may do with their building. In other words, when that building is redeveloped, it is required that that building be brought up to the property line. And that's where the property line is. That is the view traveling south on Troy.
So are you guys pretty wrapped up as far as your presentation? I'd like to, hear what kind of feedback we get.
Yeah, the one other thing I have, if we want to go through it, is I can hop on the live version of it, and I can take trees out one at a time if we think that that's helpful. But I think so right now, maybe the comments would make sense, and then again, I can certainly do that. And I can revolve around if that helps to get different views. We just wanted to kind of propose some still images first.
Yeah, no, this was all helpful. I think, seeing what the surrounding buildings would be is helpful. So let's get comment and then we can go from there. So let's start with Ralph. What do you got?
Well, the first comment is in regards to the sub shop and, let's say, the laundromat. They also have the same ability to build on the same footprint that you did, that would allow them to keep the building in the same location and also keep the heights down, same as you did. But besides that, as members of the planning board, we're responsible for providing potential developers guidance during the planning process. We must ensure that they are adhering to local laws, zoning requirements, and restrictions. We also have an obligation to the residents of the town to ensure that the beauty and the rural character of our community is protected during the process. This parcel is at the focal hub of our town. It is imperative that we protect whatever green space is left at this intersection. The residents of East Greenbush will be devastated if they were to drive by some morning to find these trees removed. As stated over and over again, these trees in question are not even on the developer's property. As a member of the East Greenbush Comprehensive Planning Steering Committee, we have discussed this area in detail. Although we all want the development of this commercial area to flourish, we are very well aware that the rural character of East Greenbush has to offer. We have recommended to the town board that this vision remains. I believe that the Verizon store can be a viable business in our community, and its success doesn't hinge on whether the store has 360-degree visibility at all times. Given the reasons I've stated over the last month, I urge my fellow board members to realize the devastating visual impact we will have on a major focal hub in our town if we allow the trees to be removed. I cannot support this project as currently proposed, and I hope my fellow members will consider these points in making their decision. Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. Nancy?
I'm looking at I have a very small version of what you presented tonight. And I do appreciate your adding the low vegetation under the tree that you do want to save there, and the uplighting, really, to highlight what would be left of the green space there. And I think, showing those two adjacent buildings might provide some food for thought as we are in the process of revising the comp plan and zoning, that maybe we should be in intersections like this, not pulling buildings all the way up to the sidewalk. Just something to think about. A couple of those trees, I know there's, you said 5 or 6 of them. I went by again today. I think could come down, but they're the ones that'll be closer to what you're showing here is what I call your back parking lot. They're in pretty rough shape at this point. I think the pine trees were less special to me than the mature maples. Those could come down in my opinion, but I think that move your project forward, and in light of the fact that you've provided some alternatives for us, I think you're going in the right direction, and I appreciate your efforts. I don't think that we can save every tree on there. Initially, 2 months ago or whenever it was that we did meet in person, I thought that the neighbors, and I did express that I thought the neighbors would miss those trees if they were gone. Since you've provided these renderings and indicated what you would be doing with the new plantings, I think in addition they would enjoy the new stuff that you're putting in, especially if you keep that corner well maintained. sprinklers on the lawn so it's not all browning out, because that's an area where my lawn's, it's terrible. But, you know, that could brown out very easily with all the traffic. Maintenance to me would be a key factor. I know we can't govern that, but we've done improvements along 9 and 20. One thing I've expressed to the board is that I don't see the merchants taking care of those improvements. They're not sweeping the sidewalks. They're not, you know, picking the weeds, even at the curb areas. They're not being responsible merchants. Verizon will be a merchant on that very prominent corner. And I would hope that all these plantings are going to be maintained the way they look in your beautiful renderings, because they always look beautiful in the renderings, don't they? But they can stay that way if you have good maintenance. And I can't say that I've been to your Verizon stores to see how you keep everything else. A recent one that we dealt with was the Huffman's Car Wash. And we could say that we could go to other places locally that they've established and improved, and they do a good job. Fucilla Ford did a wonderful job. I was so impressed with the number of trees they planted there. And then the vegetation under them, just like we were talking about, under the trees, it looks really good. I'm hoping the neighbors appreciate that too. So I think that you have existing businesses that have been successful, that are doing their part to keep us greened up here. And I think they appreciate the fact that we are different from other communities in that respect. But I would say, to save every tree at this point, I appreciate the fact that you need some visibility. And I think you're going in the right direction on this.
Thank you, Nancy. Chris?
So I very much agree with Ralph that I think that it will be a devastating visual impact to remove all the trees that are being proposed. I also don't believe that the viability of a Verizon business there is dependent on driving by and being able to see all of the, all the sides of all the building. I think what I'm struggling with the most is the renderings right now. I agree with Nancy that renderings always look beautiful, and I'm confused about which tree it is that you're proposing to keep. I'm looking at actual pictures, and I have to say I have spent an exorbitant amount of time on that corner from all directions, taking pictures, driving, walking, everything. I'm looking at actual pictures on my computer screen right now. And as I said at the last meeting, I'm very convinced that there is only one tree, possibly two, that obstruct the view of the vast majority of the side of the building. That's of concern. With the one tree taken down, and again, I'd be flexible possibly on the second two, but I really believe the second one could just be trimmed back, and you would be able to see 2/3 to 3/4 of that building. And I don't know if there's even a way I can share my screen just to pull up the, to be able to designate the, show you which tree I'm talking about that I think is the one that obstructs the most. But the rendering that you're showing that are adding all the trees in don't align with the real pictures that I'm looking at and where the locations of the trees are. So I'd like to actually look at the real pictures if we could. I don't know if there's a way to do that or not, but
Dahlia, can she do that?
We can provide that. Oh, we can provide both. I can assure you that the trees that are projected up on this image are from the site plan where the surveyor located the trees. But
these are existing plans, Chris.
But we can also demonstrate, or if you'd like to take a look at the live photo or the actual photo of it, and I don't know how you would identify.
So, how many big trees are you taking out? Are you planning to take out?
I think there are 7 maples, 6 or 7 maples, and there are 3 pines. And we are taking out all but one of the maples, leaving that one maple out on the point, and leaving the pines, which of course are really an extension of the property next door.
Okay. I think Chris actually has pictures that she wants to share, though. So Dahlia, can you share the screen? Or can she share her screen?
See if I can. I'm just going to do start screen share, see if that does it.
Yeah, she can.
Can you guys see my screen?
Not
No.
yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Come on.
There you go.
Now we can.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this is the tree that I'm talking about, that I do think covers quite a bit of the side of
Can
this.
you start your PowerPoint just so it is expanded?
Oh, sure.
You can go down on your right
Yeah.
next to the minus. Yeah, there we
On
go.
the slide view. Can you see it still?
Yep.
Yes.
So that's the tree that I'm talking about, that if that were down, it would, you could see this side of the building all the way to, and this is the back corner of the building right here. You're looking at it kind of at an angle. But as you're driving along, this is the tree that's in the way. And these low branches here could easily be, which are on this act tree here, these could easily be trimmed away. And you take this tree out, you've got full view of the entire side of this building.
Chris, did you take this picture?
I did, yep.
Where did you take this picture from?
I was at the corner of I was standing in the middle median, but at the very corner, like almost in the road.
Thank you.
Let me see if I can, so that's oops. Not able to advance the slides for some reason.
So I guess what I'm thinking is there some kind of happy medium we can get to here where we can put this to bed? Are you guys, meaning Guy and Luke, are you guys willing to keep, 3 trees? I know it's going to pain you to do so, but not take them all out where, and then we can, meet you somewhere in the middle.
And I'm actually a little curious, which is the tree that you're proposing to keep?
Well, with your picture there, actually, the tree that we're proposing to keep is the tree most left in that view. So it's the tree
Okay,
that's right on the
this
point.
one here. Yep.
It's the tree right on the point, probably, kind of a significant tree relative to the point. And of course,
Right.
you're demonstrating, removing this tree helps us with some visibility to the corner. And,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Is that still, is my screen still showing the tree?
No.
No.
It isn't. The PowerPoint went down.
Sorry, I do have 2 screens here, so I'm going back.
There we go.
Yeah. So again, that's a different view of the same tree. That, if that one were, and I think that's a beautiful tree. I would hate to lose it, but I do think that's the majority, the culprit.
So I would pose my question again. Are you guys amenable to some kind of compromise to,
So Chris,
we could probably beat this to death.
well,
Yeah,
I think you're correct. I think we could indeed beat it to death, Matt. But I do think that we've come a long way over a long time to address all the requests of the planning board relative to adding a great deal of height to this building, which we really, in order to help the planning board achieve the spirit of the code for a 2-story building at great expense. My client has leased this empty building for months and months at expense. We've decorated the dumpster enclosure. We've reduced parking that we could desperately use. We've created a great deal of landscaping. And we have left a tree on a piece of property we're leasing at a premium rate due to its visibility. I would disagree with Ralph. This building is not visible at 360 degrees. And if he can guarantee me the sub shack's only going to ever remodel, or guarantee me the laundromat is only going to ever remodel. I mean, maybe with those guarantees, we could be more comfortable with the exposure we're left to, but he can't do that. And then Nancy, yes, I think that your comment about or concern about maintenance is very valuable. And just as you have identified and experienced and witnessed, I think that it is very much a trend these days, not by demand of the planning board, but by businesses to in fact professionally landscape and professionally maintain their landscapes, much like a lot of homeowners do today. So I think that's something that you can look forward to with our tenants on this property. I've had the great fortune of working on many Verizon stores with my client, and they are all maintained quite beautifully. So I believe that we have come a long way to meet the requests of the planning board, and we have paid dearly for this site, and I think to be able to potentially be blocked off by the adjacent properties and then blocked off by the trees, which are really, I guess, an asset to New York State Department of Transportation more than any of us, I do think is asking an awful lot of it.
I'm seeing that tree, Chris, the one you circled here, the odd-shaped circle, and the one to the right of it, closest to the building, I think that obstructs it.
That's the other one that I thought did have, some amount of obstruction, which is.
And then there are two on the 9 and 20 side that are very scraggly. I'd say they look not so healthy to me. They're around the corner. So what I'm looking at is four trees. So it leaves us with possibly the one on the what is called the one on the point, and the one to the right of that before you hit those pines. So maybe two. Hey, are we bartering here? I see two trees here that possibly would work a little bit better with the one on the point, and would kind of even it out. The one on the point.
And that was why they put together where they could show tree by tree them being removed.
Yeah.
So, Guy, do you mind showing what Chris just or Nancy just talked about? Because I think that Matt, the last thing, the big thing that was asked for was, hey, can we put together a presentation that could be, where you could pluck trees out and put trees in, and that's what they've done. To your question, would we work and meet in the middle? Absolutely. That's why we're here. And so the answer is yes. I don't think it's just the one tree, because to Nancy's point, the ones to the right kind of do block as well. And even if we can trim branches low, that doesn't really help us in being able to see the sign, because the sign is higher. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the other struggle, is trimming branches that low. That doesn't really help. I mean, it helps you see a gray building, but not the sign itself.
Yeah, but I think based on your rendering, that this tree, and I also want to point out that the trees don't have leaves throughout, it's half the year that this is even a problem. But this tree here will not be in the way of where the Verizon sign is in the middle of the building. And we're talking about the viewpoint traveling west.
Well, Chris, that's true. That view, it's a static view. That's why I think to run that video again from Google Earth image, you're absolutely correct. From a static view, if all are
well, I have about 20 pictures here.
Well, see,
if need be.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Chris, but Guy, to my point, I was stating that you are asking for a 360-degree visibility for your building. That's what you're asking for, and I don't think that first off that's going to
Ralph,
I don't think that's going to help you, but let's just go back and let's take this tree out and let's just see what it does.
Sure. Ralph, we're asking for 180-degree view of our building. We don't.
Yeah, and I think you can achieve it. Let's go back and let's take a look at what Luke just asked. Let's go back and see what happens.
Dahlia, can you give the Donahoes the screen again, please?
Well, the other nice thing is they have.
He's got it.
They're going to be spending a lot of money and improve it so the building looks not the way we want it to look. In addition to the signage, the building looks terrific. So if you could see more of it, it kind of lends to the beauty of the corner too.
I understand that, Nancy, but you got to understand, we're talking about taking trees and property on someone else's property. They're asking us to allow them to take a tree down on property they don't even own, okay? Which I think is completely ludicrous. If it was on their property, I wouldn't be so headstrong over this. But this is in a New York State right-of-way. These trees were planted when this intersection was rebuilt in the 1970s. And they were planted there for a reason. They were planted to give us green space in our town center. And now they're asking us, you know, it's like someone right down 9 and 20 cutting down a tree that we've asked that the Department of Transportation planted because they want to see the neighbor next door. I mean,
so let's see the simulation of taking the trees down. Let's see what that looks like.
We still can't get a shared screen.
Can you share it?
Yeah, I think we're in now. Thank you. No, we're not.
There you go.
Thank you. Yep. Move all the trees in.
So the one you're circling now is the one Chris thought should go, right there? Or is that the one you want to preserve?
That's the one we thought should be, that was the significant tree we thought should be preserved, yes.
And that one, what happens when that's gone?
yeah, there it goes.
Yeah, who's looking at that? Somebody in the parking lot across the street?
Yeah, that doesn't correlate with my picture though.
No, and it doesn't help us at all.
You just took out the tree that's closest to the building.
Right, and I think it's on their property is what I'm saying.
No, none of them are.
None of them? Oh,
No.
okay.
But that's
the same picture.
what I was suggesting.
Yeah. But to Chris's point, I think I'm looking at a picture myself that I took today, and I don't see that. I see the big tree at the point.
I'm sorry, Ralph. Was that a question?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the actual photo here, trying to compare what you have presented.
Oh, what we have presented, just, I mean, I don't know that we got every limb for limb and leaf for
Yeah,
leaf.
no, I trust, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I assure you that every tree has been projected from its surveyed spot.
So would you guys be amenable to keeping 3 trees in the interest of, I mean, I don't see a scenario, we could put this up for a vote. I don't see a scenario where we're gonna
Could you
ever agree on this.
Could you take out?
I'm just confused because this is the tree that's got the brown ground where the bicyclist just rode by. That's the one that in my pictures, I think is the obstructing tree that needs to go. And that's the one it looks like you're proposing to keep, which doesn't make sense.
I think, Chris, I would agree with you from a static position. From a static position, I would agree with you that tree probably would allow us the most benefit if we removed it. However, given that viewing this building is really a dynamic experience by either traveling east-west on Columbia or north-south or south on Troy, believe it or not, that is not the tree that provides us the greatest grief. Matter of fact, that tree's further from our building, so as you make the dynamic move around the intersection, it does provide for better visibility to our building.
Can you put the other tree back and take that tree for a moment?
Are you able to do that? Yeah.
That's amazing how you can do that.
Great technology.
Yeah, we can denude a whole property in just seconds. Yeah.
Chris, what I like about leaving that one in is what Jim was trying to bring up, and I was talking about a little bit with the traffic calming. I think that's being close to the sidewalk does add some traffic calming, but that's my opinion.
But there's a tree that's farther out on the point that I think has the most value for the traffic calming.
Which would be the one right now that's to the left of that?
Which is the one to the left of what was just taken out, which I think is actually a little farther up the curve than.
Well, the last one there is really in tough shape. That little one, with
the bicycle right there.
That's in pretty bad shape.
Now,
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Don't we have a pylon sign going out in that area beyond where the tree is?
We do, Ralph. It's a little further. It's a little closer.
Right. It's in this other cluster.
Correct.
Right. Correct.
That,
So
correct. Yeah.
right, you do have a pylon sign that's going to be of some height and it does give you some additional recognition. Correct.
It does. Thank you. And again, that tree would be a problem for that. B, I think that tree is struggling, and perhaps because of its adjacency to the parking area. And C, part of our landscape plan doesn't look like it in that image, but our landscape plan really starts to come out towards that. And I think part of the health of the plantings that we're proposing to do, the weeping crab apples on the corner of the building and stuff, they too depend on being fed from sunlight.
Right, the sun. That's going to be important to the new plantings.
Can we do this? Can we take that tree out that you got highlighted now, put that tree back that's closer to the curb, and take the one out that you originally wanted in the back that Chris didn't think was. Yeah. And which one? And you wanted to take that one out, right? Isn't that the one you proposed, Guy?
Yeah, definitely.
That's the one in the back, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
That's the one right there in the back that you proposed.
Right.
I mean, honestly, right now, looking at that with those right there, I would not have an issue.
I agree. I like those, Josh.
If you took the one in the front down that's on 9 and 20, that little straggler that's going to block your pylon sign, take out this one that you just did, it's going to give you, some visibility of your signage back there. And, I personally, my own opinion is that I would put the sign facing 9 and 20, and I would put the sign facing Route 4, but that's up to you. But if you did that right there, if you took those two trees out, that would be acceptable to me.
So what we're left in, Angela, what we're left in this image is 3 trees.
Are you guys amenable to that?
No, I think there's 2 that are on the front. Could I put one more picture up, because I'm confused about the straggler?
Well, there is one of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trees, I believe, 6 trees. There is one that is indeed removed and we haven't put back, that is growing right on the corner of the building. That is in that landscape.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's.
I would be fine, like Ralph said, I'd be fine with this, what this looks like here. I mean, how do others feel? Well, first of all, the applicant, Luke, are you amenable?
One more time?
So actually, there's 3 trees that would be removed, correct?
Right.
That is correct. The one that in the yards is sort of set, and then the 2 smaller ones that are the 2 that are struggling, one next to the building and one closer to the sidewalk next to the parking area.
Can I show my screen one more time?
Yes, Chris. Please do.
Ralph, what I
Luke,
like.
go ahead. You were going to talk?
Shows the barrel-shaped parapet that you like. I like that.
Chris wants
I just want to let. So Dahlia, if you could help Chris share screen. Luke, if you could talk, that would be great.
The answer is yes. Very simple.
So you'd be amenable to keeping those 3 trees being acceptable.
That will be fine, and I think that is meeting in the middle on it. So
yep.
So we're talking about keeping this one. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
This one, getting rid of the back one, but this one here, if this was what you're calling a straggler, I think it was a beautiful tree.
No, I think it's going up against the
And by
building.
the parking lot, you're talking about removing.
There were 2 there that were against the building, scraggly, I thought, yes. 2 of them.
So there's one against the building. I wouldn't want to let this one go. I think this is a beautiful tree.
Chris, the impact of that is it completely blocks the pylon sign. So that's the impact of that sign. I think Ralph was kind of mentioned that earlier. The pylon sign is the issue with that one. So that's the comment on that.
But are we gonna get? Maybe you can put one of those weeping trees or something kind of in its place. I don't know. I don't remember how your rendering showed.
Well,
originally.
I would, just if I could chime in quick, again, like I've been trying to say, I would like to get to a compromise. I'm good with those 3 trees, like Ralph said, and leaving it like that, right? We've already spent 2.5 hours in the past 2 meetings.
2 years.
Yeah, well, 2.5 hours in the past 2 meetings talking about this. I mean, I'm good with that layout of the 3 trees. I would be interested to hear what the rest of the board has to say. Ralph?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just, as Chris's point there, that one tree may, without looking at it in my pictures, maybe I was too quick to cut that one out, but in looking at your rendering guy, are you putting a tree there? Are you putting some type of tree in its place?
So what we're doing is we're removing those. If we kept those 3 trees, we're removing the one in the yard, right? And then we're removing those 2 that are closer to the parking lot in the building. And those are indeed
this one and this one.
Correct. Yeah. And those are indeed the smaller of the 2 trees. I think we're keeping the 3 largest trees when we do that. And to answer your question, Ralph, on the corner of the building, there's a bed that comes out. That bed that comes out and takes over the 1 small tree does have 3 small weeping ornamentals. And then down by the entrance to the building, the entrance to the parking lot, we have beds both sides of that entrance. And there is yet another tree in the lawn out there too.
So if you could just show us that real quick, Guy, just so Chris maybe would have a better understanding of how that's going to look.
Yeah, and just so I'm clear, this is the tree that, if we kept these 3 and also this 4th, then we have a nice curve going all the way around. And I do think this is a very pretty tree that, I understand you're going to have your monument sign, but that's going to be a lot lower than the tree would be.
Yeah, that tree is a no-go for us. It really is. I mean, that tree just kills the monument sign. Absolutely, it's right out in front of it.
So if I'm correct, Guy, this is going to be a pylon sign that's maybe 10, 12 feet high.
No, it's not allowed to be that high.
All right, so this is just ground level.
I think the base is 3 feet, and then the sign's like maybe another 3 feet. It is in the document. I don't have it right at my finger.
Okay, so it's similar to what Hoffman's did.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
We can't share again. Dahlia can help us with that.
Guy, are the trees, they're called out on the site plan? Are they individually labeled? Somewhere in their ABC.
Yeah, I believe that they are indeed labeled on the site plan drawing, yes.
Okay. Because if we're going to vote on this, I just want to make sure as a condition that we, appropriately label them.
All right, so this view does not have the pylon sign in it, but you see where the part where the sidewalk is that we've added to come out to the other sidewalk, again, to create that pedestrian environment, right? And so the pylon sign is alongside of that sidewalk, and it sets back on our property, which pushes it back into that other tree, limiting its visibility. So to answer your question, Ralph, is you can see the tree that's further north.
Beyond, yes.
West, rather. That tree, that tree's our tree. We're planting that. That's an ornamental tree. And then again, on the corner of the building, there are 3 ornamental trees on the corner of the building.
Okay. Yep.
Again, I'm good with that view there. That's the view we looked at before, right?
Correct.
Yeah, but we're doing away with this one tree though, right? Where that bust, right?
No, all those trees that we're showing there are the 3 trees that we're talking about saving.
Gonna save, okay. That's,
These are the 3, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
okay.
Can someone look at a site plan and tell me, are people good with that generally? And can someone look at a site plan and tell me what the trees are?
Yeah, let me pull up a site plan and we can, Guy, you can walk us through which trees correspond, the demo plan.
I apologize. I had to go in my car and charge my phone because my kids are asleep inside and I couldn't talk in there.
We got to get back in town hall.
I know.
So it's those 2 and then 1 in the back, I guess.
Well, this is the existing plan.
Yes, it's that.
So are those labeled somehow?
Well, the existing trees?
Yeah. So I want to do a condition that outlines the 3 existing trees we're talking about.
Well, I would suggest perhaps we could do it by orientation. So what we're talking about doing is keeping, if we're in agreement, what we're talking about doing is keeping the 3 most southern trees.
Right.
And the pines. Unless Nancy wants the pines.
Well, I think those could be uplit too in the middle, but because they look nice because they're so spiny, but.
So if we're, does everyone clear on the 3 most southern trees?
Plus the pines.
Yep.
Plus the pines, yes.
Well, the pines are staying, right?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Correct. We would keep 6 out of 9, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the pine and the 3 most southern maples.
Yeah. All right, then Adam, if you want to show the proposed site plan, I may need some help reading the descriptions of the vegetation that's proposed.
Let me just take a screenshot and.
No, I don't need the proposed stuff. I just wanted, as a resolution, I wanted to be able to call out the existing trees that are going to stay.
Okay.
Guy, would you be able to put some other landscaping in and around the sign? Because then you're left with just barren lawn where you're taking the other 2 trees down.
Well, this view does show this helps Chris to show us the location of the pylon sign. Thank you, Adam. Despite the fact that it's not labeled, you can see that it is up near the sidewalk and adjacent to landscape beds on the corner of the entrance in the parking lot and on the corner of the building. So I think it's pretty landscaped into that area.
Chris, in losing that 1 tree, the way I see it is that the new vegetation, those leaping cherries and stuff, they're going to need more sunlight. So if we continue to put trees there, it's going to start to block out the sun and that garden's not going to thrive. We need to get some sunlight on the new plantings, in my opinion.
So I'm going to make a motion to approve this with the condition that the 3 pine trees stay, and then that the 3 southernmost maples stay. Is anyone opposed to us voting on this now?
I think we should vote.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to make a motion that the Town of East Creamer's Planning Board hereby classifies this action as a Site 2 action under Seeker 6 CRR NY 617.5 C2 and approves the minor site plan prepared by Donahoe Group dated September 10, 2018, last revised March 17, 2020, subject to the following conditions. Is that the right date? Is that the last time that the site plan was revised? Oh yeah, what's the last revision on your drawing? Guy, do you have what's your last updated?
Yeah, no, this is correct. This is correct.
March 17th?
The site plan that we're reviewing here is indeed the correct site plan.
No, what's the last date of your revision? Was it March 17th?
Yeah.
I can't
think so.
I can't quite
Yeah, because that's the last plan that he provided to us.
Okay. Subject to the following conditions, satisfying outstanding technical details as determined by the Town Planning and Zoning Department, statement of remaining all applicable fees, including any fees required in connection with the town's Western East Greenwich generic environmental impact statement and or local 5 of 2018. Prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy, a sub-slab depressurization system must be installed subject to review by the Planning and Zoning Department and the approval of the Building and Codes Department. Prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy, it must be demonstrated subject to Planning and Zoning Department review and Building and Codes Department approval that the SSD system was installed and tested successfully in accordance with NYS DEC and NYS DOH guidelines. The SSD system, as installed, is to be certified to the town by a responsible third party, such as a licensed professional engineer. A test for soil vapor intrusion was conducted in conformance with NYS DEC and NYS DOH guidelines and shows that no SBI in the subject property. The applicant should, within a reasonable time frame, convey the results of the SBI test to other authorities having jurisdiction and or may be interested, such as NYDEC and NYSDOH, for their information and to support ongoing remediation activities relating to the adjacent Superfund site, and that the 3 pine trees remain in the site plan and the 3 southernmost maple trees remain. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Kubiak.
Roll call as follows, Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton,
Don, you're on mute.
On mute. Yes.
There you go.
motion carried by a 5-0 vote.
All right, thank you very much.
So good.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck to you, and please never come back with trees again.
We will never talk about trees again, but thank you to the board for working with us on this. I really appreciate it, and we'll get it open this year.
All right, thank you, members.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you
So
all.
next we're going to move on to 2007 4th, 282 Hayes Road for a minor 2-lot subdivision. We apologize for the delay. Mr. and Mrs. Forth, if you guys want to speak, or if you want Mr. Holbritter to speak on your behalf.
Mr. Holbritter is there to speak on our behalf about the subdivision. I would like to make one quick comment that we've lived here for 35 years, and that intersection of Phillips and Hayes has always been dangerous. We really suggest a traffic light because the traffic is becoming more and more heavy. That's the end of my thought.
Now let's talk about what we really want to talk about. Go, Brian.
I think Brian's got to unmute.
You're on.
I'm trying to unmute you, Brian. You have to unmute yourself. No, you're still muted.
Brian, maybe bottom left of the Zoom window.
Just hover over it. I know I muted him, but I think he muted himself again.
Brian, one thing you could do is call into the phone number and use your phone for audio. And we can maybe go to the next agenda item while you, I mean, that's up to Matt.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll go quickly to...
I'm sorry, Brian, if you want to find the phone number, it's in the email that I sent you with the link. You can also use the same email to find the phone number.
I mean, this is pretty straightforward, right? It's a 2-lot subdivision. We were just going to do declare our intent to seek lead agency and then schedule a public hearing. I mean, is everyone okay with voting on that?
I am. I read it over carefully, and it's the most simple thing we have tonight.
Yeah. So I apologize to Brian and the Forest for you guys hanging on for so long, for something so quick. With that, I'm going to make a motion that the planning board hereby determines that the project is an unlisted action under seeker and hereby declares its intent to seek lead agency status in connection with the coordinator review under seeker. The planning board hereby directs that notices to all involved and interested agencies requesting their consent to designation of the planning board as lead agency for seeker review of the project. The following involved and interested agencies under seeker have been identified: Rensselaer County Health Department, Rensselaer County Highway Department, East Greenbush Fire District Number 3, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, New York State Historic Preservation Office. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Horn.
Roll call as follows: Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak, Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton.
Yes.
Motion carried by 5-0 vote.
Wait, hold on. He muted himself. There we go. Hi, Brian.
Hey.
You see that? You wait long enough to get approved.
I am so sorry. I've been listening to everything you're saying. I believe it is a pretty straightforward 2-lot subdivision. Would you like me to give any explanation as to what's going on, or has everybody had a chance to familiarize themselves with my plan?
Does anyone need, Ralph, do you need any further information?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Nancy?
No, I did look it over. It's simple.
Chris?
I'm good too.
All right, Don?
I'm okay.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to make a motion that to schedule a public hearing. A public hearing is hereby scheduled for June 24th, 2020 at the East Greenbush Town Hall at 7:05 p.m. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Pan.
Roll call as follows: Chairman Maston.
Hold on, Matt. That public hearing's got to be done virtually.
Wait, say that again?
The public hearing's got to be done virtually, like we did tonight.
Okay. Do I just have to add something? What do I have to add to the motion? So I'll make a motion that a public hearing is hereby scheduled for June 24th, 2020 at the East Greenbush Town Hall at 7:05 p.m.
No, that it will be held. That it will be held virtually.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Will hereby scheduled for June 24th, 2020, and will be held virtual via Zoom meeting at 7:05 p.m. Do I have a second?
Second again.
Second by Mr. Panton again.
Roll call as follows: Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton.
Yes.
Motion carried by a 5-0 vote.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Forth and Mr. Holbrook.
Thank you.
Next we'll move on to we'll move on to 2008 Templeton, 29 Michael Road for a minor 2-lot subdivision for presentation and review for seeker classification. Do we have anyone on?
Yes, I'm here. Are you hearing me, Matt?
You're still there?
I am. I never left.
Nice. Good for you.
So yes, and I apologize. Dahlia, do you by chance have the Templeton 2-lot map?
Sure. 1 second, please.
So in essence, the Templetons own, I think it's a 45-acre parcel on Michael Road. A year or so ago, they subdivided a parcel where their daughter just recently built a large house on the corner. And Hugh and Margaret are looking to subdivide out about 2.5 acres of land at about the midpoint of the parcel that they have. So they'd be looking to, basically what they're trying to do for finance reasons to be able to refinance is they're trying to get their house broken off the large piece of land so they can get a mortgage on their house and it won't tie up the land as well. So the Templeton parcel is on the right hand, right now it's on the top side of the map. So the gray shades you see are Elliott Road running up and down the page, and then left to right is Michael Road. So the left intersection is Michael Road as you head across the page to the right, heading, let's say, to the YMCA. So the Templeton zone, that large 45 acre parcel of land, and they're looking to break out, yes, 46.65 acres. They are looking to break out this piece of land here in this rectangle. This is their house, a few outbuildings that they have. Their well and their septic field is situated on this parcel of land. So basically they're looking for a 2-lot subdivision, lot 2 being this smaller piece here, 2.56 acres, and the balance of land would be lot number 1, 44.1 acres of land for the balance of the land. There are a few items that I do need to add to this map. Adam and Dahlia and I have had some conversations, so we need to add a little bit of site data. We need to add the rainwater or stormwater district here, which is 50-foot center line of each side of this stream in here. A buffer area. I think there's a 30% area to add as well. So there are some things I need to add that I'll work with Hirschberg as the surveyor of record on this project, and I'll be working with them to update the map so we can submit it next time for public hearing.
So this is another, somewhat straightforward, I think, 2-lot subdivision. Ralph, do you have anything?
Well, my only question is, Steve, did they subdivide once before for that house that was just built?
That's correct. This house is in the corner. Their daughter recently built a home there.
Yeah, I really can't see it, right? I can't see where the...
It'd be at the intersection of Elliott Road and Michael Road.
Yeah, okay. Looking at this, you must have to drag it over, but my view, I can't see it, but okay, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, you know where the house is, right, Ralph? You drive by it, right?
Yeah. It's just not showing up on my screen right now.
Yeah, I don't know if you're seeing, I'm trying to move my mouse, but I don't know if you're seeing it here in the far left corner of that map. So there are some notes. That was part of the comments that we had to make sure we had a large note talking about major subdivision. In reality, this would be 1 lot. This is 2 lots. The balance would be the 3rd lot. So I think it's 4 or more, or 5 lots would force it into a major. So I certainly think if they came back, 6 months from now or 3 years from now to break off 2 or 3 more parcels, they would be falling into a major subdivision guidelines.
Okay, that was my concern.
Yeah.
Steve, what's that across the road from their house? The main.
So the piece of land or the black shade, Nancy, or what are you asking?
The piece of land, is that part of the parcel that's being chunked off the larger one, or?
Yeah, so that's part of the 46 acre parcel. This Z that you see going across the Michael Road here tells you that this is a continuation parcel for what's over here. So been there. It's not something they're creating. It's been there forever, and Michael Road just happens to dissect that.
Okay.
Bisect.
Ralph and Nancy, you guys have anything else?
No, except Dahlia, I find your charts very helpful. Thank you.
I'm fine.
Chris, do you have anything?
No, I think I'm good. I'm just where the proposed lot is that's not a significant curve, Michael Road. That's not like a blind curve where that lot would be. Is it?
That is correct. It is not, but as well, Chris, that's all existing out there. They're not looking to build new homes out here. So wherever the driveway and everything is, which I think are these black shades here, that's been existing for, I'm guessing, decades. It's an older home. Hugh and Mark have been doing a lot of nice work, renovation work on it.
Yeah.
But we're not looking to make cuts in that area there.
Okay. I'm all set.
All right, Don, you have anything?
Yeah, going to the right. What borders Templeton's land if you're heading north?
I believe Ralph, it's the piece that the
Oh,
Gordon
sorry.
brothers own, and I think they had recently done, it wasn't Gordon's, but it was someone else. I think they recently did the logging on that piece of land, if I recall.
Okay.
Are you good, Don?
Yeah, I'm good.
And can you pull that?
If I may I jump in? Just want to make one point here.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Matt. I just, for the board, you'll see in our comments, you know, one of the key things that this is missing is some sense of that this land is actually buildable. We have no plan for septic, driveway, water supply. We have no idea where if it meets the MS4 requirements. We can't leave that to the building inspector. We need to know that this is buildable and how it's buildable and that it meets the MS4 requirements before we, in my opinion anyway, before you guys approve it. I think that's reflected in my comments, and Steve has those as well.
And the intent's not to approve it tonight anyway, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yep, that's noted.
So you're suggesting what the remaining large parcel, Adam, that is buildable?
We need to know that, say, as soon as this plat is filed, they sell this and somebody wants 40 some acres, we need to know that this is actually buildable somewhere.
Well, regardless of the subdivision, well, all right, okay.
I mean, one of the things, Nancy, is the stream here. I mean, it's not clear where a driveway would come out, and like, you know, if you have a long driveway and a house lot, you can pretty quickly go over an acre, which requires a basic SWIP. So we got to know more information. You know, even if it's not immediately planned, you know, the board. That's not really the board's charge, I think. So you see it in my comments.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have time to hash that out before
Okay.
our next meeting.
Matt, do you need me to put up this resolution here?
Yes. What if my car just died now?
It's not a G-rated broadcast anymore. And Steve, just to confirm, you would be ready for a hearing on the 8th, correct, of July?
In July. That'll give me time, Adam, to address yours and Dalia's comments, and also to work with her on updating the map.
One thing to note, actually, for that is the coordinated review is a 30-day process. You know, if we hear back from all of these agencies before then, great. I wouldn't expect to. So that may push us out into the 22nd for the ability to close seeker and do the approval. So I just, I want to make sure the board's aware of that. If we do it on the 8th, that we may not be ready until the 22nd procedurally.
When might we know that, Adam? And I'm only asking because it'd be wonderful if there was an opposition and we addressed all the comments that we would come to one more meeting and gain an approval. Or are we better off waiting till July 22nd, just so we know the other agencies have commented back? Otherwise, it sounds like it'd force us into a third meeting potentially.
Yeah, right. I would recommend doing just, the 22nd for 2 meetings.
Okay.
Joe, does that, and Matt, does that sound reasonable to you guys?
Yeah, that's fine. Can you pull that back up?
Yeah, sorry. And if you know, Matt, if the board, other members of the board have questions on that, I'm happy to answer them.
Yep. All right. So with that, I'm going to make a motion that the planning board hereby determines this project as an unlisted action under SECRA and hereby declares its intent to seek lead agency status in connection with the coordinator review under SECRA. The planning board hereby directs that notices to all involved interested agencies requesting their consent to designation of the planning board as a lead agency for SECRA review of the project. Following involved and interested agencies under SECRA have been identified: NYS, DEC, Rensselaer County Health Department, Rensselaer County Highway, East Greenbush Fire District Number 3, New York State Historic Preservation Office. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Kupiak.
Roll call as follows: Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton.
Yes.
Motion carried by 5-0 vote.
So, Adam, June 24th is the date for the public hearing? Is that what we agreed on?
July 22nd.
July 22nd?
And my suggestion in the resolution with Joe's concurrence is we say, you know, scheduled at the East Greenbush Town Hall or by remote means or something.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay. A public hearing is hereby scheduled for July 22nd, 2020 at the East Greenbush Town Hall or by remote meeting via Zoom platform at 7:05 p.m. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Pan.
Roll call as follows: Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton.
Yes.
Motion carried by 5-0 vote.
Steve, I think that's all you got, right?
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Yep, thanks to you.
Thank you, Steve. Bye.
Thank you.
So next we'll go on to 2006, well, two of them, 2006 and 2006A, Keystone Fireworks, one for 580 Columbia Turnpike, one for 2 Troy Road. Who do we got?
We have Rick Siri. I'm trying to unmute him. There we go.
Yeah, hello everyone. Keith is actually supposed to get on here shortly. He's down there under Lori Johnson. Yeah.
Okay.
He called me a couple minutes ago. I think he was trying to. There we go. I think he got unmuted.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, Keith.
All right, great. How are we doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
So I think this is pretty straightforward, right? So every year, as we approach July 4th, we get applications for firework tents. So we have one for the old weather vane site, and 2 Troy Road. What is that? True Value?
It's True Value, yes. They actually do the tent rental for us.
Okay, so I don't know that we need an in-depth presentation, but Adam and Dahlia, is there anything that we have to be worried about here?
Yes. So I mentioned in my staff report concerns from the building inspector in regards to the plot plan showing 200 feet. I'm sorry, 20 feet from
It will still be
either
good.
side.
Hey, Don, can you go on mute? Go ahead, Dahlia, sorry.
No, that's okay. And
Can I just say, can we just address one of these locations at a time?
Sure.
I agree.
We can start with 580 Columbian Turnpike. This is a previous location that the applicant has come to and has been granted approval in the past. Their location, it's approximately 1,200 feet from Phantom Fireworks that came to us
early March, I believe, for a sale of fireworks as well. So, and then this location, it's about 900 feet from 2 Troy Road. And in the analysis section of my staff report that I passed along to Kith and the others, was that, you know, the applicant must show the tent is 20 feet from the front lines in either location, and that generators are prohibited in the state right of way.
All right, thank you very much. Ralph, do you have any issues?
I'm fine with this location.
Nancy?
No, I think they're going to be really busy this year, though, because they're canceling the fireworks all over the place. So, you know, you might have more business than you usually have down there.
Right. Chris?
Yes, that's one of our hopes, yes.
Well, okay, right.
That
Yeah.
sounds fine to me.
Don?
Sparklers.
Oh, sorry. Don?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay, so for 580 Columbia Turnpike, I'll make a motion that the Town of East Grimers Planning Board classifies this project as a type 2 action under SECRA 6 CRR NY 617.5 C21, minor temporary uses of land having negligible or no permanent impact on the environment, and hereby grants final approval of the proposed temporary minor site plan modification subject to the following conditions. Tent setup will not occur before June 18th, 2020, and shall be removed no later than July 6th, 2020. All external signs and advertising not be displayed prior to June 20th, 2020, and shall be removed no later than July 5th, 2020. The business must run in full compliance with New York State and Rensselaer County laws. That the above mentioned modification will be limited to a one-time use for the period of June 20th, 2020 to July 5th, 2020. That the applicant must consult with the building department and complete all applicable permits, including but not limited to signage. All signage must be connected to the tent. Absolutely no signage shall be placed along Columbia Turnpike. Hours of operation limited to 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Adequate lighting shall be provided on site. Shipment of products not to arrive prior to June 18th, 2020. Prior to issuance of a building permit, the applicant must provide, subject to approval by the building inspector, evidence that the proposed activity complies with Executive Order 202, issued by Governor Cuomo and related guidance from federal, state, and local authorities related to COVID-19. Compliance must be demonstrated to the satisfaction of the building inspector and other authorities as may be involved, and may include development of a written safety plan outlining how the workplace will prevent the spread of COVID-19, which safety plan must be retained on the premises of the business and must be made available to the New York State or local health and safety authorities in the event of inspection. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Pan.
Roll call as follows. Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton.
Yes.
Motion carried by a 5-0 vote.
All right. So next we're going to go to Chris. I know you have a conflict, so if you have to hop off at some point, just let us know. I'm good to go.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I've got a little more time till 9:30.
Okay. So next we'll go on to 2 Troy Road. Keystone Fireworks for a firework tent. So Dolly, you want to give anything to worry about here?
Besides what I mentioned before, you know, this is the first time for them to come to this location, True Value. I understand that there was a concern raised of how close it is to the other sale location from the same applicant. And the same recommendations are coming from me and from the building and planning department. You know, the applicant should show 20 feet from the lot lines, and generators are prohibited at the state right away.
I guess that's a question. Why are you guys putting tents so close to each other?
This location is is on the opposite side of the road. And I'll be honest with you, when we first went to put these 2 locations in, the thought was 580 Columbia Turnpike was not sure if they were going to be available. So as a result of that, we didn't want to take a chance and not get a location period. So we put both of them in a while back, and then the whole COVID-19 hit. And the owner of that site also has another site that they would have rented to another company if we didn't take that site. And going forward, that site's not going to be available. So we kind of were in a predicament to get to both sites. And this site here is also on on the Route 4, which is a different road. So we just figured that we could hit 2 different types of traffic, and if the other site had fell through, we'd at least have 1 location.
So you're going to you plan to operate both?
Well, yes, at this point. I mean, we had to make the plan to operate both, knowing that if that other site had fell through, that we would just have 1. I believe we resubmitted. I have a map here that was resubmitted that shows that the tent and the generator is not in the right of way, and that the tent is set back the distances they were concerned about. So, I don't know if that is still a concern, but the new map should show that.
Do you have that? Can you show that to us now?
Here, I didn't see that.
You didn't get the new map?
Exactly where they're going to be situated on the Country True Value parking lot. Do we have a site plan that shows that?
We have a site. We have an actual site plan that we superimposed on it, and we forwarded that email over. You guys didn't get that?
I can see if I can bring it up. If you give me a minute.
Yeah, because the plans that we have, it doesn't show.
No, it's a very busy store, and I'd be concerned about where you're going to put a tent. And in viewing their parking lot on a weekend, it doesn't seem like there's much room, especially with all their other aerial equipment that's being parked there. It doesn't seem like there's much room for a tent and parking.
Not out on the corner for sure. We had to set it way back on Route 4. But yeah, hopefully Rick can.
Is that close to the Iroquois Place?
Yeah. I kind of like it that way though, Ralph, because the people would pull off instead of like backing up on Columbia Turnpike. They can pull off.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see a site plan.
I'm working on that. I apologize. My email froze up here.
That's okay. In the meantime, Keith, I'm just going to share my screen for a few seconds. This is something that I asked Alex and that we haven't gotten. On the second page of the land development application, I asked for this checkboxes to be checked. So when you get a chance, I would appreciate it for both applications for 580 and 2 Troy Road.
I believe he sent those over.
Yes, so this is the one that he sent out, and he checked, he dated this, and then he checked this box, but he didn't check any box for stormwater management. So all he has to do is click no.
Okay, I thought he resent that. As you can imagine, we're getting a ton of last minute emails because all the meetings were pushed up ahead, and it's just been so hard trying to manage this whole thing with COVID-19. We have 400 locations, so.
Wow, no, that's okay. I understand, but just so you know, if I just don't want this fall to the back. Okay.
No, we'll definitely take care of that. So.
All right, thank you. You can go ahead and now share your.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, there it is. I got it. All right. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Okay. So can you guys see it? It's might seem a little busy. I took what I could find from your plot maps online to try and get an idea of where the property lines are exactly. So the best I could do was line this center line up with the the center line of Troy Road and Iroquois here as well.
Are you blocking? Is that tent blocking the egress?
Keith, do you want to address the tent placement?
Yeah, I mean, the tent is well, originally it was up inside that like dirt area there, that the grass area, but you wanted it set back, so we had moved it back to that site. We could move the tent back into the double row parking where the word storage unit is. We're just trying not to, we want to try to be as far away from the parking area and the store as possible.
Yeah, I would just be concerned because it's that the entrance is a one-way in, right? And then you only have technically 2 points of egress, and it appears that you're blocking one of them.
Yeah,
it would just basically, people would have to go around, that aisle row of parking right there. We'd have to section off the tent on both sides.
I would say that, technically we're not blocking the two ways of exit, although it is in the, it's in that front drive lane. But to Keith's point, you can get out that way. We can certainly pull the tent this direction, which gets it away from the property line even further if that's exactly where it is. But it is absolutely sitting in that drive lane.
Drive lane, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I have a little concern, like Ralph said, it's a busy store, I would hate to see someone get hit by a car because people are trying to take a shortcut and get around a tent.
Yeah, it's going to be if it was up against where that tree line is, if it was up, I know you're not going to lose a little visibility, but if it was up against Iroquois Place, the tent, then at least you've got some parking. The employees could park elsewhere. But where this is you're blocking that main thoroughfare coming from Iroquois, and also people pulling in from Route 4. Like I said, that parking lot does get pretty busy.
What if we put it in the double row, Rick, where the U is in the storage unit?
It's possible, Keith, but there's this distance that we're dealing with. If you were going to put it in a double row, I would put it in this row.
And then we could move the container over to the edge.
Yeah, we could move the container over here for sure, and the porta john as well. The container would be a pod-sized storage container. It would take up one parking space, and they don't really get in and out of it during the day. It's pretty much a beginning of the day and the end of the day kind of scenario for them, so they're not constantly going over there to do it.
Yeah, one other comment I'll make is that I do see a lot of tractor trailers using that area. I see their own tractor trailers loading up the aerial lifts. I see tractor trailers unloading mulch and other bag goods right in that roadway. It seems to me that's going to be a very congested site. I know it's close to the 580 Columbia Turnpike. I don't want to discourage it, but it just seems like you could have found a better location.
Well, 3 years ago we did have a location that we did really good with, but the town didn't want us to be there, so we kind of passed on that location. We could go back there, but that's a in a totally different area. I'm sure you're familiar with
right. We had an issue with parking there too, if I'm not mistaken. That was a very busy parking lot also.
Yeah.
So if you move that tent, I think it would we'd be more amenable to that. And Ralph, do you agree with that?
Yeah, they got to get it out of that thoroughfare for sure, Matt.
Yeah. So we would do some kind of a condition relative to modifying the tent. Obviously, you guys are in a time crunch at this point, but
I could bring the map up and change it right now. If you guys have a couple minutes, let me see if I can change the screen so that we can all agree on what we're talking about. It might cut down on the cycle time. That'd be okay with you. Let me see if I can change the screen share here.
to.
While this is going on, let me suggest also, I mean, for anything that's even remotely close to that property line, I mean, we need a survey, and Kevin is going to need this laid out for him to make sure that it's compliant with what this board approves. I mean, you know, this overlay is plus or minus a whole lot, it seems to me.
So along with that, so if we move the tent and we're further away from the property lines, can we avoid the need for a survey?
Good. You must be thirsty.
Well, one comment, and I don't know if it's feasible, but I believe you're talking about the other location with Planet Fitness. Is that correct?
What other, when you say other location?
Didn't you come before us last year with Planet Fitness?
That was not us.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It was I believe it was the fish place that's over there. That's what we had a few years back.
Marty, that's worse than this.
Well,
your Porta John's in the middle of the road. You might want to move that.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting there.
That tent will then be modified, Rick, I'm sure, to probably a 30-30 to make it take up less spots.
Okay, so that would be fine. Yeah, we could.
I like this much better.
Yeah. What's the requirement from the propane fill?
300 feet.
300? Okay.
Yeah, and I go back and double check that to make sure I think we're good. That 325 is probably actually a little more than that, but I can, go back and double check it to make sure that we get in there. The state will make sure, so we're going to want to make sure before we even bother to have them come out, but yeah, that was a, concern, and that, like to Keith's point about why it's not in that center row. We don't want to even have to get the golf meter out to try and figure out how far we are. We like to make sure we're in good a good distance from those.
And I'm just scaling this on Google Maps, and it looks like you do have to that 1, 2, 3, 4. The edge of that fourth space there, it's about 320 feet. So that shouldn't be. It's going to be tight, but it should be workable.
Yeah, and again, this is probably, if I go with my square, I mean, those double rows are usually 40 feet wide, and might have some tent stakes or weights there, but I think we're good there as far as the distance from the propane fill tank.
So what about that generator?
Generator. Oh yeah. Sorry. That would end up having to go, in the parking row here. We have to keep that 20 feet from the tent. So that would be up to them whether, the owner and I guess you guys as well, whether we were able to utilize it. I missed that. It's just a small generator, of course. I mean, you guys know it's a regular, like 3.5 kV generator, but it's got to be 20 feet from the tent because of it being an internal combustion engine. So that's also those parking spaces are excluded as well anyway. But Keith, do you think the owner would have any problem with with putting a generator there?
I spoke with him. He would actually come to the meeting, but I didn't want to have him tied up for a few hours. We didn't know exactly what time we'd go in. But he said, whatever we needed to do, he would figure out a way to make it work.
Okay, so
do they sell fireworks in there? I'm just curious.
It seems like
inside a True Value.
A lot of employee parking is what I'm concerned about. They park along that whole Iroquois place. I don't know if that storage container, you show it taking up one parking spot, but they're typically a lot longer than that.
No, I mean, we typically,
what do you got?
Some of them can, but we typically order just a pod storage. So I either order a 12 by 8 or a 16 by 8. So it'll only take up one.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, we don't get the real big ones. Some of the other, some of our competitors do, but they also tend to ship their stuff in that. We just use them for storage. They come and go empty. So
where do you propose that your parking is going? Where are your customers going to park? Do you have any idea?
Wow.
They would probably park in that next parking row. We probably utilize, I mean, we only have a couple of customers at a time for the most part until the 3rd and 4th of July. I believe he said he was going to be closed on the 4th. We have like 80% of our business on the 4th of July. I don't think there's going to be a conflict with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this current setup's much better than what we saw to start with. I'm good with it. I don't know, Ralph, are you good with it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a first year. Let's wait and see what happens. I think we're going to have some congestion there, but let's. I mean, time is of the essence. Let's give it a shot.
Okay. I think Chris dropped off. Nancy, are you good?
I'm good.
Don, are you good?
Okay.
All right. So with that, I'll make a motion that the Town of East Greenbush Planning Board classifies this project as a Type 2 action under SECRA 6 CRRNY 617.5 C21. Minor temporary uses of land having negligible or no permanent impact on the environment, and hereby grants final approval of the proposed temporary minor site plan modification subject to the following. Tent setup will not occur before June 18, 2020 and shall be removed no later than July 6, 2020. All external signs and advertising not be displayed prior to June 20th, 2020 and shall be removed, no later than July 5th, 2020. The business must be run in full compliance with the New York State and Metro County laws. That the above mentioned modification will be limited to a one-time use for a period of June 20th, 2020 to July 5th, 2020. That the applicant must consult with the building department and complete all applicable permits, including but not limited to signage. All signage must be connected to the tent. Absolutely no signage shall be placed along Columbia Turnpike or Route 4. Hours of operation limited to 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Adequate lighting shall be provided on site. Shipment of products not to arrive prior to June 18, 2020. That prior to issuance of a building permit, the applicant provides subject to approval by the building inspector, evidence that the proposed activity complies with Executive Order 202 issued by Governor Cuomo, and related guidance from federal, state, and local authorities relating to COVID-19. Compliance must be demonstrated to the satisfaction of the building inspector and other authorities as may be involved, and may include development of a written safety plan outlining how the workplace will prevent the spread of COVID-19. Which safety plan must be retained on the premises of the business and must be made available to New York State or local health and safety authorities in the event of an inspection. And finally, it's subject to all technical comments from the town's planning and zoning and building departments. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Nancy.
Roll call as follows: Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Mr. Panton.
Yes.
Motion carried by 4-0 vote.
Next, we have, thank you guys very much. Appreciate the presentation.
Thank you, guys. You bet.
Thank you.
Next, we have CLDZ LLC, 63 Upper Mannix Road for a lot line adjustment. Do we have someone on the phone?
It's
Or on
this
the
is
computer?
yeah, this is Brett Steenberg.
Welcome back.
CLDZ. Gonna try to keep it brief for you guys. It's getting late. This should be pretty straightforward. CLDZ, as you're aware, is the entity developing Carver Corp, and they were approached by the Reeves to purchase a portion of their parcel and incorporate basically, which is right next to their right of way, providing ingress and egress to Carver Corp. They wanted to. The applicant wanted to do that. We've since pulled the application for Carver Court to maintain compliance with the SECRA regulations in order to put forth a proposition for a lot line adjustment which we felt was the simplest way to merge approximately 12, almost probably 13 acres of the Reed parcels to the 1.7 acre parcel of the Carver Court right away, retaining 2.11 acres for the Reed homestead located along Upper Mannix Road, and that would encompass the lot line adjustment. Both lots, and we made a last minute revision just as early as today to make sure that the CLDZ new parcel met all the bulk standards, because even though the the width at the right-of-way line was going from 74 feet to about 183 feet, it still would have required a variance. So we moved that line over just a little bit further into the Reed Homestead parcel to give it a full 200 foot of frontage along Upper Mannix Road. So both lots meet all of the bulk density for area and lot frontage requirements. And this, the reason it's attractive to the owners is it allows the access road for Carver Court to come in at a much better location on Upper Mannix Road. When we started looking at it, there's a high point just to the west of where right there where you're showing on the map in front of Therese parcel. There's a high point which really limited a lot of sight distance visibility, and this allows us to move the access road a little bit further to the east and get better sight distance. Also allows us to reduce the amount of wetland impacts. That area in that right of way is pretty heavily, especially right out by Upper Mannix Road, has a substantial amount of wetlands, but they pretty much end right at the right of way that what was formerly the line with CLDZ, and so it allows us to minimize some of those wetland impacts. So it was attractive to the owners and CLDZ to move forward with this, as well as I think the Reeds were looking forward to selling a portion of their parcel.
So I think this is pretty straightforward. I mean, Ralph, do you have any questions?
No, I'm fine with it.
Nancy?
I don't know what CLDZ is. What do they do? You said I'm sure you know. I don't know.
CLDZ is actually the corporation that owns. I don't know if you remember going back to Carver Court, the cluster subdivision that we had before you a while ago, and we've since withdrawn the application. But we'll be right back in looking at. They're the entity that owns that. It actually stands for Carver Laraway Donald Z Properties, because they own it in joint.
So all the wooded area and everything that comes with it, they need that to have better access to what they own behind that?
No, but it was in the desire of Reed to sell them a little more of that land for that, and there will probably be, there will be. It's not going to be part of the cluster subdivision, but we are looking to develop conventional lots in the size and as part of the Carver Court development that will be that will meet all of the bulk standard requirements for the RB residential buffer zone along that access road on both sides of it.
And this is also a lot line adjustment too, so it's not, it has no impact on improving that that larger subdivision.
That'll all come later. We're just trying to get the lot line approved so that the transfer of lands can be done.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand, just to see the forested areas in that particular area are getting less and less. So I'm just looking a little bit closely at that. Okay.
Don, do you have anything?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to make a motion that the Town of East Grimmer's Planning Board hereby declares the action as a Type 2 seeker action in accordance with 6 CRRNY 617.516 and grants final approval of the proposed lot line adjustment prepared by Ingalls and Associates LLP and dated. What's the date of your latest revision?
It was June Give me 1 second here while I zoom in on my plan on my computer. June 9th.
Okay, dated June 9th, 2020, subject to the following: satisfying outstanding technical details as determined by the Town Planning and Zoning Board, and all remaining fees are paid to the town. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Panton.
Roll call as follows: Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak,
Yes.
Mr. Panton.
Yes.
Motion carried by a 4-0 vote.
Brad, thanks for staying with us. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for everything, and good seeing you guys tonight. Take care.
Yep. Then we have a new ZBA referral. Allison, that's to give out, right?
Yes, correct.
Any takers?
It's the one on Route 4.
Yes,
40,
everybody.
44 Troy Road.
Yeah, everybody should have gotten it by email.
We can always give it to someone who's not here.
Yes, we could.
Doing that tonight, there, buddy.
What's that?
I said you're assigning it to somebody who's not here tonight.
Let me I'll text Jim Moore and see if he wants it.
He just did one.
Oh, tough shit. Oh, jeez, I forget about that.
If Chris doesn't want to do it, I will do it, but I don't think she's ever done one.
Okay. Yeah, we'll find someone.
I'm not going to be here to follow up, so if it's not assigned tonight, somebody's just going to have to follow up with me for me to make sure that it got assigned. That's all.
Okay, I'll reply to your email asking people, and hopefully we get a volunteer from someone that's not here. All right, and I guess with that, I'll make a motion to close, right, Joe?
Just one point.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I read your email. I think it's important we do get back in town hall as quickly as possible. We are leaving people out of the loop at these public hearings, like the people that didn't know how to do the Zoom tonight in the first public hearing we had. And I think that, we have to eventually open up. It's nice to be able to sit at home and do these things, but it's difficult for the older people who are very concerned that they have a voice. And I really agree that we have to get back in town hall. And I'd like to know how quickly we could do that.
Yeah, I think we've talked, and I think we can do it soon. We just have to figure out, we have a conflict with the town board a lot, so our meetings, they have to be at like the Red Barn or whatever, which is fine.
It's nice out there, a lot of parking.
I prefer it there. So
I think it avoids the confusion in the public hearings too, of everybody starting to get all mad at each other, whatever.
Well, I think Adam and I talked about this with Matt recently, is that right now the state's still under an executive order that any public hearing have to be done virtually. They cannot be done in person, because then you're bringing lots of people in close proximity to one another.
Yeah, and that order's in place until I think July 7th. So, that's kind of the deadline, and the goalposts were moved on June 6th, I think, for June 7th. There isn't a lot of time that the town is going to have to address the governor's, orders.
We're going to have to eventually figure out how to do it, if sooner than later, and whatever. But I know that it's going to be difficult for people, but they're just going to have to get used to it. But I like the idea of calling people in from their cars so they can be separated, walking them in, whatever we have to do. But this is an awkward media, I think, for public participation. It leaves people out that don't have computers, that don't, whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I also don't like, having to say, let's mute this person, right? So
yeah,
it's not a great way to communicate. It's certainly difficult. So yeah, we've been talking about it, and I guess we'll play it by ear as the days go by.
Okay, just wanted to chime in on that.
Yep. Well, with that, I think we're approaching 10. So I will make a motion to close. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All good night.
Thank you.
Matt, thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Oh wait, thank you again to
Taylor.
Taylor for helping us out. This is a long one.
Don't worry, I'm still here.
I'm gonna get you a Christmas present.
You're still smiling too. That's good.
I'm not.
Here. Okay.
All right. Bye all.
Thank you, everyone.
Good
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.